Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the MicroPod. And we've done pretty well tonight, actually. It's just coming up to 8:15, and we're all here. It's fantastic. It's a full house. Can't believe it. So there you go, full house for the return of the MicroPod. Fantastic to be here again. All the gang's here. We have no guest this evening. Unfortunately, our guest couldn't appear. So there we are. It's just us tonight, guys. So we're gonna have to struggle through. I don't know how we're gonna manage it. I'm sure Andy's gonna be sipping on the ale, and I think Erot's got an ale as well, and I've got cider. So by the time the show ends, it could just be Sherman and Hebot.
Well, you know I never have anything to say, so that's
no. I think we'll be in safe hands with Hebot and Sherman holding the fort for us as we're all collapsed in the corner.
I'm going to be munching on a bowl of oatmeal in the background, so it's no telling what the after effects might be. So.
Well, exactly. But no, it's great to be back for another week.
How old school of you?
we're actually doing well, actually, because we're actually pretty much on time, and we're actually on the date that we said as well, the 2 weeks from the last one, so we're doing bloody well. We can't complain of that. Anyway, thanks to everybody that's taken the time to join us for the podcast. We've got loads to talk about tonight. Whether we get through it all is another matter, but we will do our best, because once we start talking, we do tend to get a bit lost in our conversations, but that's what it's all about. It's about, it's just basically like a bunch of friends having a chat down the pub, and everybody getting involved with the chat as well. And that's why we do it, and that's why we enjoy doing it. So big shout out to everybody at Project Xbox and the DX Men of the DX Mansion. Big shout out to you guys. And Project Xbox has had a real surge of members over the last couple of years. Incredible how quickly the members have grown on that group now. So we've got something like 1,520 people on there now. It's incredible.
It just says 1.5k on mine.
You don't see the full spec. Yeah, no, I think it was 1,520 when I looked earlier. We're about 100 new members this week, which is fantastic. But anyway, before we go any further, I'll give the guys the floor, and they can say their hellos. So let's go to you first today, Sherman. You're first on my screen. So what you been doing, buddy?
Wow, I think this is the first time that I've actually gotten to do the introduction first. So no pressure.
I like to mix it up a bit.
I see. What's going on, everybody? It's the Shermanator here, aka Technofunk on Xbox Live, and once again, just glad to be here. We've got a great show lined up for you. So sit back, relax, or if you happen to be listening while you're driving in your car, don't relax. Stay alert. And at the same time, just enjoy the show. We're going to bring it to you and hopefully do it upright. So that's all I got to say. I'm going to save the rest for all the different subjects that we're going to discuss.
And he did it in his usual cool manner, but without any music tonight. Andy Mac was slacking. There you
go. He's slipping. Yeah, Andy, you're slipping.
Yeah, disgraceful. Disgraceful.
I've had enough music last night.
Yeah, I heard.
We'll discuss that later.
Yeah, that's a related discussion, I think. Over to another good friend of mine, Hebot. It's great to have you on the show again. It's awesome to have you as a permanent panel member. So give yourself a shout out, buddy. What you been up to?
Vaya, señoras y señores! We're back! Una vez más! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm doing pretty fine. Especially the fact that I'm here on time. It says a lot, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm doing something that I am not normally doing, which is playing backwards compatibility games. Which means I'm a fraud once again. Hello, everyone. Hello to my brothers. Let's talk some games.
I'm just going to put my eardrums back in after that one, but
so that was a clear example, ladies and gentlemen, of good cop, bad cop. So first intro was, and everybody else's words, not mine. But first intro was calm and smooth,
Beautiful.
and then the second intro was boisterous.
Speedy Gonzales on acid.
I have to keep up in the tradition, you know.
Oh, jeez. Right, moving on. Another good fact. You know, this is what I enjoyed doing this show. Is it's just they're all mates. They're all people I'm friends with, and E-Rock is one of the originals, one of the first timers who's not been able to get rid of me since he first met me and spoke to me. E-Rock, buddy, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the panel again. Permanent member of the MicroPod now. Give yourself a shout out, buddy. What you've been up to?
What? You have to speak louder. My eardrums are blown out. What?
I'll send it you in. Hang on.
Hey, this is E-Rock X. Yeah, I've said this spiel for so long. I remember most of it. It's E-Rock X, man. I'm here on the MicroPod. It's always great to be here. You know the drill. You know where to find me. You know I'm on Twitter. You know the channel. I'm excited to talk about these topics, and as my hearing slowly returns, I'm ready to attack these subjects. Let's go.
I might add as well, when I said Braille earlier, I meant I was the first pipehead, but never mind. I'm getting old and I get my muddles and middled. Oh dear. Right, was that a machine gun going off in your house then, Hebot? That's what it sounded like.
Yes, I'm killing people, especially ponies. I'm killing ponies. Ponies die.
Pony extinction.
It's like somebody cutting off your water, homie. What's going on at your crib?
I know. You see that?
Yeah. Oh man.
Lastly, but surely not finally, or whatever, I don't know, I've lost the plot now completely. Andy Mack, tell people where they can find you and what have you been up to, my friend. And we don't want to hear about your shenanigans last night. I've heard all about it, and it's not for...
Hang on. How come I don't get the introduction of another good friend? Do you know what?
I'm Indito.
Every time. Do you know what? Next week we're going to all speak in Spanish. Yeah.
I have a certain time slot to do the introductions, and you're the end one, so you just don't get as much time. That's all it is. Anyway, it's nice to have you on the show, Andy. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Wow.
Well, you can find me on Twitter in my new home at BeardyMac86. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
And I've actually got a little message for everybody before the show starts. I'll just hang on. Take it away, the beards. That's right, 2 mums. Let's do the podcast,
people. There we go.
And that is why I don't say he's a friend, because I do not want to be affiliated with him.
hey, I picked you up twice when we played The Division the other night.
That's very true. That's very
no
true.
praise whatsoever.
I gave you a wave. Don't give me none of that. I gave you a wave.
It might as well have been a middle finger.
It was on the quiet. You just couldn't see it.
Oh, I could see it. Penny showed me.
Right.
And the show hasn't even started yet.
I know, and he's only had the smell of the barmaid's apron, and he's off already. Anyway, let's get into it.
I haven't finished.
Oh my god, he's still going.
And
Yes.
continue.
Now he finished. Yeah. In style.
It's hard work presenting this show, you know that, don't you?
Bullets.
Right then, our first topic of today. French oh my god, I'm going to completely lose it. How am I supposed to present this? French website, something or other that I can't read the name of. Duke's Video, I think they're called. Something like that, anyway. They've reported this week that Xbox, Anaconda and Lockhart are set to be revealed at E3 this year, along with the new project by Ninja Theory, and also a lot of Gears 5. Apparently that's going to be their main focus for the show. Gears 5, because it's their biggest title out. Go on, go on, Andy, what are you saying?
I think I can speak for every French man and woman when they heard that news. And that would be Sacré bleu! Gears 6! Anaconda!
Everyone.
Oh God, I can't understand.
For any of the French listeners tonight, bonsoir.
Bonjour.
Bonsoir.
Anyway, those are the rumours. They've also outlined some specs as well, with the Lockhart specs and the Anaconda specs. I mean, the Lockhart's looking at custom 8 cores, 16 Zen threads at a GPU of 4+ teraflops, 12 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory, and this is important as well, a 1 terabyte solid state hard drive, which is good. I think a lot of people were pushing for that anyway. But and the Xbox Anaconda is a custom 8-core 16 Zen threads with a 12+ teraflops GPU, and 16 gigabytes of the GDDR6 memory, again with a 1 terabyte solid state hard drive. I know a lot of people will probably argue that is 1 terabyte enough, but when you're trying to keep the cost of these machines down, which obviously being a solid state drive, you know, they're not cheap, are they, solid state drives? So I can understand why they're only sticking 1 terabyte in there, and it's easy to plug extra drives in. I mean, I've got 2 drives in mine as it is already. But they've also reported that Halo Infinite will be a launch title for these new consoles, so sort of 2020 launch title for Halo Infinite. As I already said as well, Ninja Theory will also be unveiling their new project at E3. So the Xbox team, the Xbox brand, you know, is looking to have a huge E3 this year. Probably the biggest one they've had for years. And that's at a time when Sony have stated that E3 is no longer relevant, as they're not even attending E3 this year, which is amazing, to be honest with you. Surely when the biggest gaming expo of the year becomes irrelevant, you know, isn't gaming dead? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, to me, E3 is like the pinnacle of the gaming year. It's when all the big announcements are made. It's the one that I look forward to more than anything else in the gaming calendar. So, you know, I'm not sure what everybody else thinks about that. Am I wrong in thinking that? Am I wrong in thinking what Sony is saying is what Sony is saying right? I mean, what are your guys' thoughts? One on the rumours about what's going to be said and what's going to be unveiled at E3, and what's your thoughts on the fact that Sony have said E3 is no longer relevant? You know, I mean, I've said my piece. I think that's a load of crap. I just think that's smoke and mirrors because they've got nothing to show themselves. But you know, Sherman, I mean, what's your thoughts on all of this?
Well, first of all, I'm amazed because this is 2 for 2. I get to go first twice. So,
yeah.
2 for 2, yeah. Go.
Make it count, Papa!
Yes, sir. I will do my very best. Well, you know, I kind of... well, let's see. Let me tackle the first question in regards to the supposed rumors. As always, you know, things that kind of leak out, you gotta kind of you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt to a certain degree. I mean, first of all, well,
that's better. There was a lot of background noise there, wasn't there?
Oh, okay. I had to check and make sure that we were still live.
I think that must have been some feedback from Hebox microphone.
Ah, okay.
Gone quiet.
but you know, like I said, you know, you have to take things somewhat with a grain of salt, simply because E3 isn't until June. So what are we talking, like 4 months away from now? So 4.5 months. So as we're all aware, anything can happen in that span of time. So Yeah, it makes for interesting speculation. However, again, you kind of have to, I guess you could say, put everything in, keep everything in perspective. Now, if I will say this, if the rumors that you've just mentioned, if it does pan out to be revealed officially at Microsoft's conference, then it just builds, to me, it would build, it will stack upon their strengths that they've been establishing for the past year, almost 2 years now. Now, I've also heard some other rumors on top of the ones that you've just mentioned. Among them, I would say, you know, depending on how you look at it, one of the bigger ones that I've heard is that Microsoft is planning to make some additional official announcements regarding their Game Pass service. Now, of course, most of us here, as well as I imagine most of our listening audience, is probably by now aware of the rumor that's floating around about Game Pass showing up on Nintendo systems, specifically.
Yeah, that's something that we're going to be talking about a bit later on. That, so yeah.
Okay,
definitely.
so I won't touch on that. I'll leave that alone until we officially get to that later on in the show. However, keeping in line with that, I will just drop this teaser out that I've heard that it's not going to stop at just the Switch. Now, now, before some of you just start losing your minds, no, I'm not talking about PlayStation systems. I'm not talking about that. It's my understanding that Microsoft has plans that extend way, and I'm talking about, like, you know, you spell the word way and put like 7 A's in there, way beyond just the Switch and any other type of system. So they've got their sights set on a much broader audience. And so that's all I'm going to say. I will revisit my information as far as what I've heard, what I've come across. I'll revisit that when when you bring up the whole Game Pass Nintendo thing.
Yeah, that's going to be the next topic. So
now let me just say this, as far as the thing with Sony and their decision not to attend this year's E3. As I briefly mentioned right before the show started, as I was saying backstage, if you will, you know, Microsoft, I think that this gives them a golden opportunity. The fact that, you know, arguably their #1 competitor is not going to be at the same show this year. Now, for those of you who are still kind of just shocked and tripping because Sony's not going to be there, well, come on, think about what happened last year. Sony all but came right out and said last year, you know what, we're not interested in this anymore, because that joke of a show that they gave last year with the guy playing the flute, and you know, speaking as a professional musician myself, I don't talk about that very often here on the show, but you know, I'm considered a professional musician. I've been a musician since the age of 5 years old, and just using my critical eye, even the guy playing the flute last year, you go back, and for you musicians in the audience, go back and look at that video. He made a boatload of mistakes with that tune he was playing. It was not anywhere near quality. And let's be honest, for all we know, he may have even been like, you know what, why am I going to give my very best at this? I'm just going to go out here and, I don't know, maybe he was slightly inebriated. I don't know. And frankly, at this point, I kind of don't care, because at the end of the day, the reason why these companies show up at E3 is to present us the gaming public, as well as, you know, various vendors. The whole thing is supposed to be about showing us what's coming down the pipe. And for Sony to do what they did last year, it just showed, to me anyway, that they weren't interested. They really didn't want to be there. And maybe they had some contractual obligations to just show up, and that was it. So they did the bare minimum, and even that was questionable. So at the end of the day, the writing was on the wall last year. When they made the announcement, I wasn't really surprised, you know, when they made it late last year that, hey, you know what, we're not doing E3 anymore. So for some people, yeah, they were disappointed, but I applaud Microsoft for saying, you know, after the announcement was made by Sony, Microsoft decided to double and who knows, maybe even triple down on their presence. I sincerely hope that this year at E3, Microsoft takes advantage of the fact that basically amongst the big players, they're going to pretty much have the show to themselves. So instead of just having a big, gigantic press conference usually it's on Sunday. Instead of just having it on Sunday, why not spread it out? I say have it on Sunday, have it on Monday,
Tuesday.
You know, yeah, I mean, no, seriously. I don't. I think if they spread it out if they spread it out over 2 to 3 days, yeah, it's going to be a lot of extra work on their part. But I guarantee that you would have an audience that would tune in each day, especially if they have some big announcements for each single day. Why not take advantage of the fact that, okay, the normal time that Sony would be there, well, Microsoft booked that time frame too. It could happen. You know, we'll have to see. But as far as, you know, again, my take on Sony not being there, yeah, well, they kind of revealed their whole card last year. So I'm not surprised. And for me personally, I don't want to sound like a hater, but to me, I didn't shed a tear over it. So to me, it's just giving Microsoft a bigger opportunity to make an even bigger statement this year than they have the past couple of years. So, you know, let's just see what happens. We've got your back, Microsoft. So it sure would be nice if I could attend in person. That's all I'm going to say for that. You can read between the lines.
I think you're right. I think Microsoft. Well, they've already said that they're going to really go for it this year, and it's going to be quite a strange thing for them because they're not going to have Sony people sat in the audience writing things down for them to go and change in their show the next day or the next, you know, in the afternoon. That's going to be a first for them. But no, I think Microsoft are going to go all in this year. They're going to take full advantage of Microsoft. They're going to take full advantage of PlayStation not being there, and they're just going to go all in.
Well, now didn't real quick? Didn't Sony say that instead of doing E3, they were going to do some type of conference on their own in February?
There was rumor that they were going to do something. Whether something was confirmed, I'm not sure. But
because, you know, February is almost over. So
yeah.
They better hurry.
I mean, nothing. I haven't seen anything, and I've not seen anything being bleated around all over Twitter. So I don't think that's happening. I mean, what's your thoughts, Hebot? What's your thoughts of the rumors of the new machines? What Microsoft are looking at or supposedly planning for E3 this year? And, you know, with Sony not attending as well, I mean, is E3 no longer relevant for gamers? You know, is that the case?
Look, E3 is basically the staple of what made video games as big and world known and made it a world hobby, basically, so to speak, by having shows like E3, like Tokyo Game Show, like Gamescom. They're the Super Bowls. They're the Super Bowls. I'll try, my brother. I'll try. They're the Super Bowls of video games based off every region in the world of gaming. You know, obviously Gamescom being the UK, E3 being here for the Americas, and as we know, Tokyo Game Show being for Japan. And the only reason why Microsoft hasn't been present in Tokyo as much is because, let's face it, Japanese, developers and gamers in Japan are concentrating
nationalism.
Well, yes, they're nationalists.
Let's preach. Let's preach. Let's preach.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But also,
no, not to cut you off, dog. But the only ones who aren't nationalists. And it's going to be profanity in this podcast. I'm sorry, Mike. You know who aren't nationalists? Us dickhead Americans.
Yeah,
who support other brands from other countries,
Yeah.
but not over in Japan.
Yeah.
Not over in Japan.
Yeah.
So go ahead, my bad, dog. But go ahead and preach.
No. I love it. I love the excitement. I love the enthusiasm. That's what we need. We need to speak out and speak clear. We can't sugarcoat things anymore, because if we keep sugarcoating, the bull crap is going to continue, and we're going to keep letting these half-ass casuals that are coming in now, trying to tell us how gaming works.
Come on now.
How it's supposed to be when they have no clue, So, basically, in Japan, they haven't been present because Japanese stick with Japanese. They like mobile gaming, and they like PlayStation, and they like Switch. How is that a proof? Because the Switch has done well, the PlayStation 4 has done well for Japanese market standard, obviously, because mobile is the #1. And they're both Japanese consoles. I mean, the American console doesn't sell well. It slaps you right in the face. I don't see why not, when it's offering the best features and the best all around game variety, if you will, a little bit of everything, as opposed to just one set mindset. So anyway, E3 is a staple. It's the reason for gaming becoming as big as it is what I'm basically saying. So for anyone, whether you're a Sony fan, Nintendo fan, an Xbox fan, or portable fan, whatever, to say that it's irrelevant, it's just because it fits the narrative of your set console. Okay? So for it to fit the narrative of your set console, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. You have that right. But you're just fooling yourself, and you're hurting gaming as an industry as a whole.
Hey, Bot. I'm sorry to cut you off again, dog. I don't mean to be rude, but that's almost like Detroit Lions fans saying the Detroit Lions didn't make it to the Super Bowl, so the Super Bowl is irrelevant now.
Right.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
Wait, so E-Rock, come on, man.
Or the Eagles.
Was that a pot shot?
No. Go on. It'd be like a fan saying the Eagles didn't make it this year. It's bullshit.
So no, you're absolutely right. I mean, the analogy could have probably been a little bit different, so it wouldn't hurt our fellow friends. But it's okay. It's a good analogy. I get what you're saying. It's
no, he's
true.
right. No,
he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. And people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear truth. Now, what I think is Sony's play on this is because, to be honest, I think Sony has so much money invested in Death Stranding because they know Kojima-san is involved in Ghost of Tsushima, right? And obviously Last of Us 2, because that's their bread and butter. That's their paradigm, if you will, right? So they have to make sure that those games, all the money that they possibly can have, go to those games, to finish them, to polish them, to make sure they're a end game product, because those games, if they don't do well, will be the end game for Sony. You understand what I'm trying to say? And that's exactly, I know, but if they don't in quality, even with Days Gone, I guarantee you it's going to be praised, profoundly around the whole, media and gaming as a whole.
Of course.
Even though it's really not doing anything new that other games are trying to do differently, like a Crackdown or like a Cuphead or like an Ori, right? Or at least if it's not doing something new, it's trying to elevate and evolve that genre and spectrum of games. So, I think what their part in this are not showing is because they know they can't afford it. To go to E3, Phil and many people in the industry have said, it's very expensive. It's one of the reasons why Nintendo has opted to do Nintendo's Direct for a couple of years now and haven't even gone to E3 to save money, cost. And it's worked in their favor because the Switch being successful, now they have this money. They were able to invest in getting a lot of ports over from 360 and some newer little titles here and there to come out first on their platform or their console. And it's paid off. So now that they have some money and revenue back, now they're going to show up because all of a sudden, no, Sony doesn't go, Nintendo's going. You understand? And so it makes sense. Now, I think it doesn't matter, to be honest, how hard and how well Microsoft presents E3 and go in. I'd be honest with you, because Nintendo's going to take the win. The media is going to give it to them before the show starts.
Of course,
that's just a fact. Anybody that doubts that is really delusional, and I don't mean that in an offensive way. I mean that, unfortunately, that's the reality of gaming and what we live in right now. Okay, Nintendo's the darling of media of the industry. They can do no wrong, even though they've done 33 million different Marios, and yet they always say that they don't give them nothing.
38 right, dude. 38.
You know, even though they keep touting, oh, Microsoft does Halo, Gears, and Forza, which those three titles all came out in the time span of just 2 consoles, right? And Nintendo's had what, 9 consoles, and Mario's still the forefront leader.
Nintendo hasn't had a new IP since the GameCube.
Yeah, well, Splatoon is the new one, but that's not
okay. Splatoon.
Yeah, but you know, again,
the fuck is Splatoon?
Yeah.
What are we, 12?
Exactly. Exactly.
Well,
so
yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying because I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if they didn't bring out a Mario Kart or a Mario, Super Mario, there would be a massive, you know, when's it coming? When's Super Smash Brothers coming? But when Microsoft brings out the first Crackdown in God knows how many years, it's like, oh, same old,
it's garbage. It's unacceptable.
Or Quantum Break. Yeah. Or Quantum Break, or
anything they make. It's really anything they bring out. It doesn't matter what they bring out. It's always going to be garbage. Yeah. The only thing they don't say is garbage is what they know they can't because it's already got a staple, which is Gears. And they even tried it with Gears 4 anyway.
Yeah.
Because remember, they were trying to say it was average. Remember that. They tried to do it with Halo, saying it was average because they changed it. No longer is a protagonist just Chief, even though the whole story was centered around Chief. They tried something different because that's what you're supposed to do. Evolve the game to keep it enticing and interesting and keep new players from wanting to come in and old ones as well. So they tried something different. Oh, you guys suck. You don't respect the IP. But yet, God of War completely bastardized what God of War was. And it's beautiful. It's the holy grail of holy grails. And yet it's the most linear and lackluster God of War as far as combat and what God of War is. The whole essence of God of War and his rage was justified by the fact that he had to carry the guilt of the ashes of the death of his wife and his son on his body. And that's what made him appealing. And he put that all to the side and had sex with this giant woman from the giant race to have a kid that now he's mother, and they completely went this crazy route that had in another mythology that's like 1,000 years in the future in another area, and they have no explanation how he got there, how he went there, yet it's still part of it. It just makes no sense. It's all convoluted all over the place, and it makes no sense. But again, these are also in stories by other people. There's no creativity in the story itself. Gears, Halo, and things like Fable even. They borrow from other existing series, but they made it their own. They gave it their own unique story, as opposed to bastardizing an existing story and just putting a twist on it, which is what they did with God of War, for example. To get to the point, because I know I'm long-winded already, it's also like a parent. It's also a parenting class because now all their games have to have children. Street Fighter, Ken Masters, he had a kid. That was part of the story. God of War, obviously with the little kid. Last of Us, a father that meets this girl that's supposed to save humanity for the next 20 years. That he, in his mind, because he's with her for 3 months, becomes all of a sudden his newfound daughter. And she's a teenager that shows him no respect. Course of the game. and she won't interfere because I will not appreciate or be happy with what you if you do. So he jeopardizes saving humanity for the next 20 years or so he can spend a couple of months with his newfound daughter. When you know, as a parent,
that shit sounds suspect.
There's no way in hell you cannot replace a child of yours with another child for just a matter of months. It takes years and years and communication and a relationship with that child. Okay, so it's very far-fetched, even though the whole story is already far-fetched to begin with, because it is like a zombie outbreak. But you know, it's just I see that as insult to injury. In other words, but again, oh my God, it's beautiful, because now the problem is most of the industry is worrying about story. It's no longer about gameplay. It's about sitting down with popcorn and watching a story. When that was always a bonus, right? But that was always a bonus in games. It wasn't the primary focus. And then the difference is Xbox games give you gameplay and fun factor first, and then story. And that's why they're like, oh, it's lackluster, because they like games that hold their hand. When you like something like Oxenfree, or What's Eating Finch, or The Vanishing of Edith Finch, whatever the hell it's called, and then you say something like, you have a...
I think you're breaking up a little bit. We've lost you.
And I've seen people in this industry say that. Not naming no names, but I've heard it out of their own mouth, and it's sad. So to get to the point, yeah.
You broke up arguably at the most important point of what you were saying. So could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. Bottom of that.
Said that gaming, the whole essence of gaming and the importance of gaming is gameplay. And when you have now the type of narrative is that story is more important than gameplay. And Xbox games concentrate on gameplay, fun factor, and the story is, you know, the added bonus, right? That's why people say it's lackluster, because they want games that hold and they watch and play very little. So again, if you have people saying that games like Oxenfree, or games like What's The Vanishing of Edith Finch, or What's Eating Finch,
Ethan Carter,
Disappearance, or whatever, Ethan Carter, whatever the hell is, you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Saying that is an amazing game and something like Crackdown is boring, then you are not a gamer anymore. Your whole mindset of being a gamer is that you think gaming is just one thing and not a number of things. You understand? And that's the biggest problem. And so I can't respect people that I've heard personally myself say this in our community anymore. I don't even take you serious. For me, I just look at you as, bye-bye, you're a joke to me, because I just don't. It's the same thing like caring about achievements and not caring about games. Achievements is a bonus. It's supposed to be a reward for your hard work. It's not supposed to be that's what you're worrying about and that's it.
That's what you're supposed to be playing for.
You're losing the love of what the game is trying to deliver. You see? And that's how I view it. So with Microsoft, to try to get to the end point, right? What Microsoft needs is, yes, if they show Lockhart, if they show their cards of what they're gonna do, don't show the specs. Leave that reserved for another.
Yep.
And that when they show one, because even though Sony's not going to eat, I guarantee you, they will do a PlayStation experience in December. And that's because it's more affordable, they can make it more personal, and it can be just a quick thing in a small venue. And when they do that, if they show their cards and their specs up front, they will try to find a way to adjust and to try to outshine what they're doing.
And up their numbers, always.
And up their numbers. Yeah. So, yes, they have the advantage because they're the only ones there this year, but they need to play their cards right. Show, but not, okay? Because if they do, it might bite them in the ass again, because remember, they're going into another generation with the perception that they're no longer great, that Sony is the leader, because they have story-driven games where you are a parent babysitting your kid, sitting down, eating popcorn with your girlfriend, and then you have to cry. You have grown men the size of football players weeping. I love this game, Detroit. It makes me want to cry. It's so beautiful. This story is amazing. Listen, I don't hate that you like those games. That's great. That's fine. They have amazing stories. But that doesn't look right for a grown-ass man.
Don't let your
to
experience
say something like that.
Don't let your experience define what I'm doing. All right?
The thing is,
I'm not saying.
I was going to say, I mean, you're breaking up again, E-Rock. I'm not sure what's happening there. Well, I was just going to say, you know, for me, my opinion on this is it's only become the game since the X dropped. You know, before that it was all power. That was all you heard about was the fact that the PlayStation 4 could do a higher resolution, and it wasn't until the X dropped that we started hearing about the games, and that was the argument.
Right,
so
right.
It's
and they will do that again, Micro. They will do that again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, they will.
If Microsoft shows their card, and Sony can take an advantage real quick, right? Then they will do it again. Then it will be about, the PlayStation 5 is beast. It's beast. It's better, more powerful than the X.
Well, you know what?
Scorpio.
Let me just say this real quick, and I agree with you about 100%. If they show their specs, especially if they do it at E3, and then Sony, even though they won't be there, they're going to be somewhere. And who's to say, even though officially they won't be at E3, who's to say they won't send some scouts, to actually just, sit in the audience anonymously. So if they do reveal the specs, they run the risk of Sony one-upping them later on down the line. The only thing I would say, and let's be honest, Big Phil is crafty. I think he doesn't get a lot of credit for, first of all, turning the company around, turning the Xbox division around, and repairing the damage that Don Matrick did to the Xbox brand. Phil gets some credit, but I don't think he gets all the credit that he deserves. So let me just say that. So now, with that in mind, let's just say that at E3 they do reveal some numbers, but who's to say if those numbers
are the real numbers?
Right. I don't put it past Phil and company to quote unquote, here are the official numbers, when in reality they're a totally different spec. They're not even close. And I mean, let's be honest. If in fact there are development kits that are about to be sent out, those kits may come with an NDA that the companies have to sign.
Non-disclosure,
Right. So who's to say that if they do reveal some numbers, those numbers might not be legit. They might not be real. For all we know, that might be half the spec. And again, if they do that, I will laugh. Oh my goodness! You talk about I will have now. You talking about grown men with tears running down their face? I'm the first to admit I will have tears of laughter running down my face.
The thing is, as well, Sony's got a track record of this. I mean, everybody knows. There's no secret that Sony practically rewrote their whole E3 conference in 2014 when they announced the Xbox One. They changed everything. They changed all of the DRM. Everything got changed because they saw the crap that they saw the crap that Microsoft was getting for that, and they went and rewrote pretty much the whole of their E3 conference, so that they could come out of it looking like the shiny boys. But they were going to do exactly the same as Microsoft, if not have more control. They were going to. Their system was actually going to be worse, in that respect. And as it turns out, it would have been a better option for us with what what Microsoft were offering. But that's the way it goes, isn't it? But Sony have got a track record of reacting to what Microsoft do, and it always annoys me when Microsoft do their conference before Sony's, because I think Sony plan it so they go after, because they're crafty bastards. They really are crafty bastards. And Microsoft must realize this. And like you say, Sherman, maybe that's something that they could do. They could pull a flanker on them and, beat Sony at their own game.
Oh, I'd love it. That would be glorious.
You're at war, man. You're at Phil. Listen, I know he don't listen to any of these podcasts. So I know y'all think. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, yes. Man. Yeah.
Yes.
I know you guys think he listens to these podcasts, but he don't. And Microsoft don't, and neither do Sony. For all you PlayStation puppets, Sony don't listen to y'all either. Because if y'all did, y'all would actually have a Game Pass or a working online.
Oh, watch
like,
out now.
Smarten up, man. Understand $2 billion per quarter. You're at war, right?
Hang on, he wrote you're breaking up a little bit.
All
Sorry.
this kumbaya, my lord stuff you can't do. Am I breaking up?
Yeah, just a little bit then.
It sounds like I'm
doing a little bit of botting.
Are you near a microwave?
Well, either Comcast is on a high load over here, or somebody's downloading something. Somebody's got the internet.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we lost Hebot. Perhaps that's what it was. It might have been Hebot.
So everybody make sure everything's turned off. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now we can. You're coming through good.
Yeah, it's like Microsoft, you at war, man. So, I know y'all want to keep doing all of this kumbaya, my lord stuff. Here's the thing. You at war with the media. Right or wrong? If you guys give me a right or some feedback, I'll know I'm not botting. Microsoft is at war with the media, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
They're at war with the gaming culture now. They follow the lead of the media and everybody else, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So what you have to do now, you have to course correct the way you're doing things. I know that you're making billions of dollars per quarter, and Xbox is in the black, not in the red. Okay, Xbox's board of directors aren't calling them saying, "Yo, man, our stocks is dropping. We're worried." That's the other company over in Japan.
Right.
Okay. So, but even still, we have seen this past week that Microsoft is at war. Are we not at war?
Yes.
So what you got to do, and hold on, Micro, I'm getting somewhere with this. You got to do what DC did with Aquaman.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers now knows. We'll discuss this Tuesday. Warner Brothers now knows that they can't release their movies in the States here first, because Warner Brothers and DC's at war with the media. So what you do is you release overseas first, and that's why Aquaman made $1 billion. What Microsoft got to do is they got to stop telling everybody what they're going to do next and do like Sherm did. Which Sherm, if you was here, man, I give you a high five. You let folks know that the new console's coming out, but you don't release the proper specs. You release dummy specs.
There you go. That's right.
With Sherman, man, I'm with that. That's war, man. Because we want to talk about Microsoft unveiling this new machine. What's it called? The Anaconda?
Anaconda,
right.
Yeah,
that's the high-powered one. Yeah.
It sounds like a fantastic machine, but my only gripes right now is releasing the 1 terabyte internal storage. I'm still not with that. I'm still not with that because
you're going again.
Xbox One X is 1 terabyte.
You're going again, mate. You're botting again at the moment. Sounds like he's rapping.
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing auto-tune.
Yeah, man. See, Michael, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, mate.
Yeah, dude, we got to figure out something other. Google Hangouts is dead, man. Google Hangouts is done. You got to get the new legal director, somebody.
Yep, Mixer, here we come.
Google Hangouts is fucking dead, man. But anyway, 1 terabyte of internal storage ain't enough. I don't want to go out and buy no external fucking hard drive, Microsoft. Y'all got millions of dollars. Put 2 terabytes should be the minimum.
Yeah, I agree.
But we'll see what happens. As far as Sony not making E3,
you've gone completely now.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say a little bit more, and I'm gonna hang up and try to come back in.
Yeah, all right, then, mate, no problem.
As far as E3, man, Sony not being at E3, like, do it matter? Like, guys, I hate to be a dickhead, and I'm probably get kicked off of this podcast.
That's never gonna happen.
but I mean, for real, do it at this point. Do it matter? Microsoft could come to E3 2019 and reveal that they found the Holy Grail, the Cup of Christ, and the cure for cancer, and people will find they'll still find a way to hate it. They'll still find a way to hate it. And not only that, but you want to know who the biggest viewers of Microsoft's E3 conference is going to be? Take a guess.
Sony.
It's going to be
Sony
and all their supporters, so they can nitpick.
So that
the shit out of it.
Microsoft lives rent free in the space of IGN, GameStop, Puerto Rock, Titanfall Princess, Zaire. They live rent free in y'all fucking heads 24 hours a day. So those are going to be the main ones watching. We ain't going to be the main ones watching it. The Xbox dudes. We'll watch it, but we'll be outnumbered by Microsoft's haters. Microsoft, you're at war. So it don't matter what they do. But you know what, Shermanator? Can you hear me, Sherm?
I hear you loud and clear.
Because you my dog, man. You my dog. I'll be seeing your messages on Xbox Live. Don't figure I'll be answering, man. Like I'll be kind of. I take care of a senior citizen, and man, it be going down in my crib, dog.
I feel you.
So listen, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm kind of glad all the casuals are leaving Xbox. You know why? Because in the beginning, Xbox was like a small community of gamers, right?
Right.
And that's what it'll be again. We don't need MG2 or whoever that guy is that made that video about.
Oh man, don't get me started on him.
We don't need that nigga no more. We don't need him no more. Sorry, Micro. I know you're gonna fire me, but I'm going in. we don't need Zaire no more.
No,
we don't need these people. We don't need these people. And it ain't about y'all making excuses. Exactly. Making excuses for excuses for what? For giving us games? Right. Okay, they may be the games that you want to play, but see, Crackdown ain't for you. Crackdown is for them old school gamers like Hebot and Sega Forever and Sega Man and Sherm who play Contra. That's who that game is for.
Right.
It ain't for your casual ass. So go your ass somewhere to play a casual game like Red Dead Redemption, which I enjoyed, or Tomb Raider. See, that's casual. And you can't expect Microsoft to always put out stuff that's going to appeal to a broad audience. Are y'all feeling me?
Definitely.
So what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna hang up and then come back in and try to fix my feed. But so to answer your questions, I'm interested in the Anaconda. I'm not down with 1 terabyte of hard drive space. Damn that. It should be more. And as far as Sony not missing look, I'm not going to miss Sony. I can't stand them. If they left the gaming industry, we'd be better off because they would take the toxic ass piece of shit fan base with them. And the media would now have to readjust their reporting and do journalism, gaming journalism, Shermanator. Sherm, you hear me? Are you hearing me? I know you're hearing me.
Oh yeah.
They would have to do gaming journalism like they used to do. Now, guys, I'm sorry about all the profanity. I'm a professional, but we having church this week, and I gotta go deep for 100 for D-Rec for all our soldiers in the streets who had to put up with all of this shit about Microsoft. Microsoft ain't trying hard enough. That's not what games should look like. Microsoft should do better from all of these jokers that have always hated y'all because y'all got Game Pass, EA Access, games with gold, or working online service, backwards compatibility. They hate y'all for that. And I've been trying to wake y'all up to that. They hate y'all for that. And so what they did was the media and these clowns who call themselves gamers has made y'all feel that y'all experience is somehow subpar to look what's going on. While y'all been gaming this week, what has y'all haters been doing? They've been on Twitter. If that don't tell you that this gaming community is dead, that this gaming culture is fucked, then nothing else will. Now I'm gonna hang up and y'all move on to the next cat.
No, he's got a point. I remember when Sony actually announced this. I saw people in the gaming media, and I can't exactly remember what websites it were. It was. But they were actually slapping Sony on the back and telling them that they were doing the right thing and it was the right move for Sony and it was a good thing to do. Can you imagine what would be said about Xbox if they did that and didn't turn up for an E3? It would be so, Microsoft's dead, Xbox is dead, it's going, it's vanishing, they
would be like good riddance.
Yeah, definitely. They would be attacking the hell out of it. But no, I saw gaming media outlets actually congratulating Sony for not attending this E3, and I'm like, what is going on? Because I know for a fact if Xbox announced that, they would get no end of shit, and all the trolls would be on there saying that Xbox is dead, and it's just, it infuriates the hell out of me. Let's go over to you, Andy, because I mean we've been on this for a while now, but I mean, what's your thoughts on what's been rumored for E3 2019, and all of the nonsense about Sony? Not being there, and how great it is that Sony's being brave not to go, and what's your takes on it, mate?
Well, I've actually fell asleep. Yeah. Well, let's be honest, right? When we saw last year's show, they showed 2 tents going up. I mean, they had their own chat show in the press conference, or whatever you'd call it. Three games that actually stood out. One wasn't even exclusive. It was the Resident Evil 2 remake. The fact that they're not going to be there this year just seems like they're going for, if we don't go, then we can't lose E3, which is stupid, because it's supposed to be a showcase for gamers of what they can expect in the future, and all they've got to show you now is nothing. They could have showed loads of multi-plat games. They've got all these indie games. Shout out to the indie gamer, because he's shown quite a few of them, and you look at them and they say PC and PlayStation 4. Why don't you show them? Why don't you get all these indie games on the big stage? Yeah,
well, they don't support those, do they?
No. But I think Xbox they should kill it. If no one was there, they should make it the best show they can possibly make it.
Yeah.
When it comes down to the consoles, I mean, they need to show those quite quickly to get their foot through the door. But I don't really care about the specs until I see what the specs can do with the gaming, with the games.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, we may see that at E3. I mean, hopefully, if they're unveiling it, we might see some gameplay. That would be fantastic.
But then again, you can say, well, with new technology, the hardware isn't enough now. We need to see this new technology onto these games, like the cloud with Crackdown 3 and the multiplayer, which got a total roasting. Which, to be fair, it's taking leaps to what PlayStation are doing with their games. I mean, you've got all it's about is let's do realistic character models and story to make you cry your eyes, like watching Bambi. I mean, like, come on. You got these people going, "Oh yeah, man, I played that. It got me right in the feels." It's like, really?
Come on now, speak your truth. Come on.
I said it today. I said there seems to be more people who want to be glorified critics than gamers now, and it's an absolute joke. Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's people who have given their opinion on Crackdown, and they said the single player is really good, right? And they says, but they're not a big fan of the multiplayer, right? It's fair enough, isn't it?
I respect that.
No.
I respect that.
Yeah, but then you've got people goes, oh no, if one thing on the list that we've got on our massive sheet of nitpicking, we've got to destroy the game. I mean, Anthem got a user score of 3, and you look at some of the comments, and one of them was, there's no fast travel in the game. It's like, you've got a jetpack. You can travel by a jetpack.
Wow, are you serious, dude?
Serious, mate. Serious.
So folks really do want their hands held.
Sorry?
So some folks really do want their hands held while they're playing the game.
Man, come on, E-Rock. Come on now.
Wow.
You already know the answer to that. That has probably, that right there. And Andy, I'm sorry. I normally don't jump in and interrupt, but what E-Rock said is 100% on the bullseye. That in and of itself, and I don't know where He-Bot is, but I'm sure he's listening, and I know he's going to agree. That is one of, if not the biggest cause for the spate and the epidemic of video game crybabies that exist within the whole gaming culture today.
Come on, Sean. Come on.
No. You know what? That really burns my toast. It really does, because you got so many people who consider themselves gaming experts, and I'm not just talking about people who are just every day go to work, come home, play games. I'm talking about folks who make their living.
Yes, sir.
Within the industry, folks
Journalists.
who work for.
Yes, sir.
That's right. No. You know what? Folks like that do not deserve to be called journalists. They don't.
No, I've been having this argument on Twitter all week, and people have been arguing the toss of me. And I mean, we've got Phil Spencer. Was it Phil Spencer?
No,
it was Ybarra, was it? Mike Ybarra picked up on that. Reviewers weren't even able to, they didn't fully understand the game. They didn't know the controls. They didn't realize that they could do certain things. And they were downgrading games because of their own stupidity and the fact that they weren't spending enough time to learn how to play these games. And somebody actually turned around to me on Twitter and said, these guys have got a lot of games to review. I don't give a shit. If you have got a job as a gaming journalist and you're reviewing a game, you do it fucking properly. And if you're not going to do it properly, don't bother doing it at all.
Right.
Because, what they're doing, this guy on Twitter, they're not some kind of social hero. They're doing something that we would fucking give our right arm to do. They get paid to review games. They get to play games all day. We all have to go to work and do a 9-to-5 job and work our asses off just so we can come home to afford the fucking games we want to play. They get to do it for free. They get all of these new games for free, and they sit on their ass and they play them all day, and all they want to do is fucking nitpick and pick holes in everything that they play. And I've seen Anthem get shit this week. Obviously, Crackdown 3's got a load of shit. It just seems to me now that we are in a gaming generation where it's cool to hate, it's cool to nitpick, and you can't say, "Oh, that game's good" anymore. It's just got to be everything's about getting a click on. Let's see how much hate we can generate from this review. And we've got IGN. For fuck's sake, IGN did a review for Apex Legends. And when they give it quite a negative review, saying it brought nothing new to the table, blah, 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 blah. The day later, when it had hit 1 million players, they took that review down and put another
review. They took it down. They sure did.
How good it was.
Yeah, and I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. See, and that right there is what I'm talking about. When you, as a quote-unquote gaming journalist, don't have the balls to stick by your original review, look, if you don't like the game, whatever game, if you as a reviewer, as an official reviewer who's on salary, working for a gaming outlet whose job it is to write about the industry, review games, and post a hopefully honest review, when you as a quote-unquote journalist do not have the integrity to stand by your original review, whether it's good or bad, then as far as I'm concerned, you have no credibility. You're a fraud. You're a fraud. You're a fake, and you don't deserve to have the dream job that you have.
Exactly.
That man, again, that right there just if I could be in a room for just 5 minutes.
It infuriates me.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's an editor's job. Whoever's running that team of reviewers is to make sure that the games they're reviewing are the games that those people like. What's the point of giving somebody a first-person shooter if they hate first-person shooters and they prefer to play MMOs? There's no point whatsoever. You've got to have specific people for specific games. You can't just stick somebody on a game that they don't like the genre, because they're not going to like it. They're not going to truly understand it. They're not going to get on board with the game at all. And the same as if they're not, if they're more predominantly an Xbox gamer and they're reviewing a PlayStation game, it might go that they don't like it for that reason. And the same the other way around. If they're PlayStation gamers and they're reviewing an Xbox game, they may give it a more negative review. IGN are a joke. This is a company that only in the last 6 months completely plagiarized another YouTuber's review for a game.
Yeah.
And that YouTuber, he was only a small YouTuber at the time. As it works out, they did him a favor. And the guy that did it got the sack. But IGN are a joke. Anybody who uses IGN for anything to do with gaming gaming news or reviews or anything. You're just wasting your time. You might as well just read the Beano. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, I got on my high horse then, but gaming media at the moment is just
it's all good.
really, really getting on my tits.
But you miss something out there. Let's all go back to Sea of Thieves when they told you that it's a game that's going to evolve over time, and people still went, "Oh, there's no content." It's like, yes, because they said it's going to evolve over time. They made it very, very clear. How stupid do you have to be not to listen to that?
Exactly.
because certain people hear and acknowledge what they want to hear and acknowledge.
Yeah. But let's go back to a film. You'll like this, right? Let's go back to the film Ready Player One, right? About all those people playing VR games in that world, right? Now, the last game that they had to like compete in order to win like the keys to the game or whatever, right, was people thought that the point of the game was to complete the level, right? And it was about exploration. Now, Crackdown 3 is meant to make you explore the world to collect orbs to level up your character, right? Now we've got Anthem, where you've got a jetpack on your back, basically. And the whole point of that is to go around exploring places. So you don't need to have a fast travel all the time. And it's like, you know, the amount of people who don't explore games anymore is quite shocking, to be honest.
Yeah, they're not willing to do that, are they? No. I mean, I spent hours on my horse. I mean, it's like Crackdown 3. I mean, you've got the cars. I never use them. I just want to jump everywhere and climb. And I don't use the cars in Crackdown 3 at all.
And you don't even have to use the cars, because if you pull up the map, you have the option of doing fast travel.
Exactly.
I mean, they at least give you that option.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean,
I'm like you. I use the cars every now and then, but for the most part, I've found that your chance of finding those hidden orbs are greatly increased if you do not use the cars.
No, you need to be jumping and climbing everywhere, you know.
Or the fast travel.
right.
Yeah, Tim. Yes, no, exactly. No, the gaming media is just a bit of a fuss at them. But what you've got to remember, they've got to play to the masses, and they know that if you hate on something that's Xbox, they've got 80 million people out there waiting to click and then go on. I mean, they're not all doing it. I know there's not all 80 million of them are fucking brainless trolls. There's a small minority of them, but they know that there's a larger fan base at the moment for the PlayStation, so they're going to play more to that fan base because they know that they're going to get the clicks. If they hate on something Xbox, they know that the Sony guys are going to come over and click on it and put their clicks out, and that's what they're doing. They're playing to the larger fan base.
You would think, given Pamela Anderson's recent write-up, that the amount of people that she's lost to playing the PlayStation, you'd think they'd come back to the Xbox so they can actually like play less, and actually engage in other people rather than play single player.
Wait, what is this? Wait, what?
Didn't you not know?
No, what are you talking about?
There was a write-up where Pamela Anderson wrote the amount of men she'd lost to the PlayStation was quite a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought the amount of men she lost to hepatitis.
Oh no, you didn't.
This is just another spanner in the works. This is.
Jesus, that's bad. You know.
And she said they were. She said something like they were mindless. You know, mindless people playing PlayStation games. It's like. That's a bit
I'm sorry, but I love my gaming. But if I had if I had a hardware waiting for me, I'd know what I'd be plugging in. And it wouldn't be a controller.
Wow. Wow.
Oh dear, it doesn't surprise me. Well, whilst we're on this, when we were talking about this, we might as well move over to Crackdown 3. We've got to discuss this.
Come on with it, brother. Come on.
Yeah,
Let's do
we've
it.
got it. Let's talk
I've been
Crackdown
itching.
3.
I've been itching all week for this part of the
Yeah, so have I. Let's talk Crackdown 3, shall we? I mean, we all know that, you know, the game had a massive development time, and it's been getting hate since the first tech demo in 2014. I mean, it has had hate from day one. It's been trolled and attacked and everything, and of course it's been released now. Even the media's. I mean, I was quite surprised actually. I was very surprised that the media got on and gave it the reviews it did. But I thought, oh, you know, perhaps they're right. They're all saying it. Blah blah blah. But I actually really enjoy the game, and I'm not a Crackdown fan. I wasn't a big fan of the second one at all. I played the first one on the original Xbox when it came out, but you know, even then, it didn't really grab me. It wasn't one of those games that, you know, I had to just keep playing and playing and playing. But Crackdown 3, to me, is a solid 7, and even possibly go as far as an 8, as far as I'm concerned with the fun factor. I just think it's incredible. I've got about 20 hours on it, although 10 hours of it seems to be missing because it doesn't seem to be counting up my stats at the moment on the Xbox. But I've got about 20 hours of game time on it, and I just think the game's incredible. I haven't played Wrecking Zone, and I know that seems to be a bone of contention for some people, that the Wrecking Zone isn't what they said it was going to be. But it was 2 developers working on Crackdown 3, wasn't it? You had the one team working on the single player, and another team working on Wrecking Zone, which doesn't seem to have delivered. Sorry, what was that?
No, I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, it's on. No, not at all.
No tech demo in history ends up being what it was promised to be.
No.
Anybody remember the Killzone 2 video from 2000?
Oh my god.
All right then.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, every game that we've seen on certain systems have been a downgrade when they've arrived. You know, every game. But, so, I mean, I haven't played the Wrecking Zone, so I can't make comment on that game mode yet because I'm enjoying the single player so much. But to see IGN give it 5 out of 10, I don't understand what they're seeing to give it a 5 out of 10 compared to what I'm seeing and playing it and enjoying it and giving it a 7 or an 8 out of 10. So I don't know, and I can understand a lot of people questioning why this game's getting such low reviews. I mean, I think the people are complaining about the graphical style. To me, the graphical style is Crackdown. If you don't think those graphics suit Crackdown, then you don't know what the hell you're playing. You don't know Crackdown. You know? So I don't get it. I don't get it. And the hate it's been getting, it's unbelievable on Twitter, on Facebook, everywhere. I mean, I'm assuming all of you guys have played Crackdown. I'm going to go to Sherman first. You're obviously biting at the bit on this one. I mean, to me, I like it. It's a great game. I haven't played anything else this week. I've been on it at every spare moment of time that I've got. I've been playing Crackdown 3. I really enjoy it. It's a good... it's a typical, what I would call an old school Xbox game brought into the sort of the 2019s. But I mean, I love it. I mean, what's your thoughts, Sherman? What have you got to say about Crackdown 3?
Well, hang on one second. I will. Hang on. That's the paper that I wrote all my points on. Yeah, that's right. Like I said, I've been itching to get all this stuff off my chest, so I actually wrote down various observations.
Sorry, Sherman. Sorry to interrupt you a second. We're getting a bit of feedback from somebody who's. Is that Hebot? Are you getting some feedback from you, Hebot?
I don't know. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. It's just that when Sherman's talking and I'm hearing him twice. I don't know whether it's you or Ewok. You got try now, Sherman. Now Hebot's muted himself.
Yeah, because I'm about to read the Magna Carta on us, so let's get with it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know, I was wondering if, in fact, the reason why you're getting the feedback was because of all the paper rustling around.
No.
On the table in front of me.
I can hear you twice. It was Hebot, so there we go.
Okay, so you're not hearing an echo right now?
No, it's fine.
Okay, so hang on one second. Let me take a swig of water.
My man, go ahead. Yeah, do your thing. He's about to go down.
Okay, so my official observations on Crackdown 3. Now, first, just a quick introduction to something that you just mentioned, Micro, as far as the so-called professional gaming journalism outlets. Underline the phrase "so-called." Now, it's my understanding that with your IGNs, your GameSpots, and a few the other high-profile ones, there, about a week or so before the game was officially released, they were just spitting out these low numbers, terrible reviews, just crushing the game. Don't waste your time, blah blah blah. Now, a couple of, and it was I found it very interesting that within those same organizations, some of the people, interestingly enough, not the reviewers themselves, but it was as if there was kind of like an inside rebellion, so to speak, of folks that worked within these companies that were actually exposing them anonymously. And what was being said repeatedly was that the reviews that were coming out, that they were based on early versions of the game. Now, those early versions, when they received them,
didn't have shadows.
Exactly. They were like, I'm talking about versions that they received last year, but they were contractually bound not to say anything. So they didn't receive the finished product until not long before it was officially released to the general population. So now, what that says to me is that they had it. I'm hearing an echo now. I'm hearing an echo now. You guys hear that?
It's going now.
Okay, it went away. So now, what that says to me, real quick, is that they had a choice. They could either take the lazy way out and go with, just stick with what they put out prior, based on early last fall, which it was revealed that was the game that they were basing their reviews off of, or they could update their review. Well, again, like you said earlier, Micro, the sorry excuse that has been used time and again, they used it again. Oh, well, we've got X amount of so many games that we have to go over, and we don't have time to go back and check this thing out again. So we're just going to stick with what we already put out. Okay, it's not my fault that you're extremely lazy at your job. Mm-hmm. Emphasize your job. You get paid to supposedly do your job.
Yes.
So why would you not go back and do an update? You don't even have to do a full-on out re-review, although you should. But if you get the final product, just put out an addendum and say, hey, you know what? Here's a new update. We received the final copy, and the review that we put out not too long ago that was based on an unfinished product that we received back in September of last year, which it's been discovered was actually the case. But no, instead of them taking ownership and updating it, they decided to stick with that and move on. Now, one could argue the reasons why for that. Laziness definitely plays a role, but I hate to sound conspiratorial, but I think it applies here, because of there's this narrative that just sticks with, well, you know, it's Microsoft. They don't deserve some good press from us, etc., etc. So that
I think you're right there, but I think there is also this thing where they've got to get the review out first. They've got to be the first ones with the review out so they can get the views, and they should not be allowed to even start reviewing a copy of a game unless it's finished. If they haven't got the final product that comes to us, they shouldn't be reviewing it. They shouldn't be playing it for review purposes. It's as simple as that. If you haven't got a full retail version of a game, whether you get it on the launch date, as everybody else does. I mean, most of these games have day one patches now. They shouldn't be reviewing it. They should not be reviewing it. And you know, if we have to wait a week for a review, so be it. I'd rather have an accurate review from these people than some bullshit excuse review for a game that was nowhere near, you know, was in a pretty poor state. And we've had it happen before with games that they've reviewed games and the reviews come out a few days before release. And then on the day, there's been like a 20 gigabyte patch.
Right.
They haven't had that patch. Right. They should not be reviewing games unless they are complete and fully up to date. The version that we get when we purchase the game. If they haven't got that, they shouldn't be reviewing it. It's as simple as that.
Agree, 100%. Agree. So now that I've gotten that intro out of the way, my official observations of Crackdown 3, I've got a couple of bullet points. Well, actually, it's more than a couple. So I'll try and run through them really quick. And by all means, everybody on the panel, feel free to interrupt me at your leisure.
Try not to.
No, it's all good. So observation number one, the visuals are outstanding. Especially if you're playing on a 4K television, the HDR is excellent. Although, you know, I was a little bit, well, I shouldn't say annoyed. Annoyed, that's not the right word. I wasn't annoyed. I was surprised. You know, you have to manually turn on the HDR. So that was kind of like, all right, I'll go ahead and do that. And then, you know, it gives you the option to play with it. But I've found that the default HDR setting, at least for me, works pretty well. The frame rate is rock solid. I can't, well, no, I take that back. I've put in roughly 16, maybe 18 hours of the game. And so far, I've only encountered one frame rate glitch. But beyond that, I mean, it rocks. I mean, just steady. And you know, as we're all aware, the amount of explosions and the things that are going on simultaneously is just over the top, like it's supposed to be. And still, everything is silky smooth. Point number two, the sound quality. Now, I mean, I've got like high fidelity sound systems, subwoofers, all that kind of stuff. The bass on this thing is awesome. I mean, just from that is great. But and it's something that I haven't even in any review or whatever, I haven't heard no one talk about. But that game, Crackdown 3, is best played with your headphones on, because it's running Windows Sonic. And when you've got your headphones on and the Windows Sonic keyed in, which fortunately that kicks in automatically, which is kind of funny. The HDR didn't kick in automatically, but the Windows Sonic kicks in automatically when you plug your headphones in. I've noticed that playing with the headphones, the sound quality really just punches, and it's a little bit easier to find the orbs because with your headphones on and Windows Sonic running, everything is positioned in pure 3D. So, you know the pinging noise when you're around the orbs, especially the secret orbs. You know, that atmospheric sound that it makes to let you know that, okay, it's around here somewhere. Well, in the headphones with the Windows Sonic running, it's just amazing. Technology in this regard is amazing. So say if I'm on a building and I'm like at the 8th story of a building, whatever, and there's a secret orb like 1 floor down from me. The Windows sonic processing, the sound, it literally sounds like if I'm sitting on my couch playing, it sounds like the orb is coming from under the couch.
Wow.
It's just, if you have not played this game with the headphones on, I highly recommend you do it. It's a total game changer. It's something that has not been discussed at all, to my knowledge. And it should definitely be brought up more than it currently is, which in this case is not being brought up at all. So the sound quality, especially with headphones, is just unbelievable. The character animations, outstanding. Outstanding, silky smooth character animations, of course, for your main characters, but even for the non-playable characters, the enemies, everything is just the animation is outstanding. Now, the atmospherics, top-notch atmospherics, the surroundings, the campaign surroundings, the city actually feels alive. I mean, it's if you manage to get up on the highest perch you can, and I did a video clip as recently as last night, where I was I managed to get on top of one of the highest radio antennas in the city, and I just scanned the whole region. And it's just mind-boggling the level of activity that takes place within that city. I mean, Batman would be jealous, standing on top and looking down on the city and all the hustle and bustle. And the one thing that I've noticed is that, you know how when you play the game, there's a time progression. So, you know, the sun will rise, the sun will high noon, the sun will set. Now, I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but especially when you're near one of the major freeways in the city, depending on the time of day, the traffic will alter. So early morning, you know, 7, 8 o'clock, the traffic will increase like it's rush hour. Then as the day progresses, if you're in the same region, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, you know, and I'm basing that on the position of the sun in the sky, the traffic again will increase like it's rush hour, people going home from work. Just subtle dynamics like that. And in addition to different parts of the city, various activities going on. Again, that's just the atmospherics, not even counting the direct action that you're interacting with as you're finding these orbs, battling the robots and the other forces that are trying to stop you from accomplishing your missions. The atmospheric results are just top notch. The weapon selection. The one thing I appreciate about this game, in the Crackdown 3, is that unlike a lot of action games, a lot of third-person action games, the weapons in this game actually serve a purpose. I mean, you know, some games, they just have these weapons that, you know, they might look good, but they have the same effect as, you know, the weapon that you had previous. No, this game, some would say it's just a mindless shooter. Okay, certain parts, I can see that. But depending on what your objective is, especially the side missions, you need certain weapons to accomplish those certain tasks. And so it's just gravy. It's just gravy over the mashed potatoes. The fact that the weapons look and sound as good as they do, but they also serve a purpose. So what that says to me is that some thought was really given in the design and the implementation of these weapons. I mean, they look great, but in this case, they're more than good looking. They're functional, but they do look really good. So that's a plus. So another point, a game like this, you gotta have to borrow Terry Crews, you gotta have the boom. You gotta have the boom. And this game brings the boom in spades. I mean, this game has some of the most awesome explosions. I mean, stuff blows up real good in this game. It just wouldn't be, one could argue it just wouldn't be a Crackdown game if the stuff didn't blow up. But this, the explosions just are so over the top, and it's such a satisfying feeling just to see it. They don't just blow up, they burn afterwards. That's what I really appreciate. You know, a lot of games, they just blow up and then that's it. No. There's after effects to the explosions. It's extremely satisfying. Speaking of the satisfaction, the sense of accomplishment in this game is arguably one of the best that I've encountered in a long time with gaming. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you know, usually you got to clear a level to feel even a slightest tinge of excitement or a sense of accomplishment. You know, you got to clear a level, you got to beat boss, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But Crackdown 3, what I really appreciate the fact that whenever you find those orbs, especially the secret orbs, there's a sense of accomplishment that, wow, okay, wow, they hid that there, and I just happened to find it. And then the effect that, you know, that covers the aura that is created around your character. There's accomplishment there. And then when your character powers up, you know, it kind of reminds me of, and I might be dating myself, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Highlander movies. You guys remember the Highlander movies, right?
Hang on, nerdgasm.
Right. It kind of reminds me of that. The way, I mean, the other day I managed to power up 3 categories at once, and I mean, it was like, it was yes, it was awesome. I mean, I was like, oh shit, you know, the first one, like, okay, cool, yeah, and then it happened again. I'm like, oh shit, what's about to happen? And then it happened again, and I mean, I was starting to feel like Terry Crews. I was like, yeah, you know, I haven't that sense of accomplishment is extremely rare in gaming. Before you beat a boss, before you clear a level. So I give the developers major props for that. The voiceovers, the voiceovers from the opening sequence to the cutscenes to the stuff that the director is saying, you know, while you're playing the game, the tips he's giving you or the observations, the voiceovers are top notch. They're very quality. The dialogue, and one thing I noticed, and I noticed this the other day, you know, sometimes when you the non-playable characters, the dialogue that they're saying in any given area that you're in, I noticed that if you pay attention, if you pay attention to what they're saying, they're actually giving you little tidbits of what's going on in that area. So, you know, that's something that the developers didn't have to do. But I noticed that it actually kind of helps you in certain areas as far as like implementing certain strategies in the game. I mean, you don't have to follow them, but I found that it actually, it kind of helps. And again, it's just an overall extra tidbit that they didn't have to throw in there. The gameplay itself, it's an open world sandbox type game, but this game is a little bit different from your average open world simply because you can play it your way. The way I'm playing this game, I guarantee you, all of us that have played this game, I feel pretty confident in stating that none of us have played this game the exact same way. And that's fine. It gives you so many options to play it your way, to make it your very own game. If you feel like you badass enough and you just want to go handle the boss right off, okay. I mean, you haven't powered up enough, but you think you can take him on. All right, it might take you a couple of days to beat him, but hey, that's your right. But then again, if you want to like tackle the side missions first, if you want to tackle the main missions first, I mean, there's so many different ways that you can play this game, even as far as the way you power up. If you want to power up your melee abilities first, you can do that. If you want to power up your weapon handling skills first, you can do that. If you want to power up your agility skills first, I mean, you have it. The game gives you options, and even the way the map is laid out. I appreciate the fact that they made the map so accessible and easy to configure and easy to figure out. A lot of the maps, in my experience, in games of this type, when you go to the map and they, you know, have you choose this and have you choose that, sometimes it can be over convoluted. But no, the way they've done it on Crackdown 3 is excellent. The driving modes. Now, I've read that even for some people that like the game, they don't like the driving. I don't know what they're talking about. The driving, I find it thoroughly enjoyable. Now, yeah, it's a little bit tricky at first, but it took me all of maybe 10 minutes to figure it out. And the driving side missions, man, I've been acing gold on those like crazy. And I've seen Hebot, he's acing gold on them too. So obviously there are folks out there that, you know, they probably tried it for a minute and gave up, which in and of itself, that speaks to the whole review dynamic, which, you know, we can talk about that. Well, we can talk about that later. And then, you know, the vehicles transform. So, I mean, how can you not like that?
No, I don't have a problem with the driving. I just, when I'm using the cars, I just feel like there's no weight to them, if you know what I mean. But apparently that improves. I was talking to Hebot about this the other day, and it improves with time. And
yes, it does.
And you get your extra. But I don't use the vehicles a lot anyway. So, well, as I said earlier, I like to jump around the map. But anyway, have you finished damage controlling, or have you still got some more damage controlling?
Yeah, we damage controlling.
Yeah. Well, I just got one more, I just got one more thing to say. You know, it's been my observation that the level of hate that has been attached to Crackdown 3 is running parallel with the level of hate that Sunset Overdrive received when it first came out.
Oh yeah, Sea of Thieves, State of Decay. You name an Xbox One exclusive that's come out in the last 3 years, and it's got the same amount of shit. I'd probably say Crackdown 3's probably had more, though. I would say.
It has. But see, here's my thing: the amount of fun that I'm having with Crackdown 3 is reminiscent of the amount of fun I had with Sunset Overdrive. And to me, that's great. Now, Sunset Overdrive received a lot of hate when it first came out, but now most people, you know, Sunset Overdrive came out in 2014. You go back to those same people right now, they love the game. They talk about it glowingly. I suspect that the same will happen with Crackdown 3. It shouldn't be that way, because Crackdown 3 is an outstanding game. It is outstanding. Now, I'm like you. I have not played the Wrecking Zone yet. I haven't felt the need to. I plan to. But and speaking of the Wrecking Zone, this is another thing that irks me, because you've had people go on and on about, oh, there's no party. But they actually stated before the game was released that, hey, the party zone is coming. You know, we could have waited, but we decided to put it out anyway. But the party zone, the party abilities is coming. Just be patient. In the meantime, if you want to just go meet up with some random stranger, that's cool, but it's coming. And that speaks to another narrative. As far as I get the feeling that this game is going to be another one of those games that will be added to and will evolve, just like Sea of Thieves, just like State of Decay. I mean, you got multiple developers working on it, which can be either a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. But you know, the game itself overall, my official rating, I give it on a scale of 1 to 10. I give it a good solid 8.5. The game is definitely not as bad as people say it is. This past week it's been revealed also that a lot of those folks that were giving it really terrible scores, they either hadn't reviewed it at all, they hadn't played it at all, or they played it for maybe a half hour and said, I'm done with this. Well, okay, your agent starts off with no skills. You won't be able to build up his skill set in a half hour. So it's going to take you some time, but it's so worth the effort.
Skills for kills.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. So
you know that played the fucking game.
Exactly. See, and that's my point. You know, you can't. How can you? And again, it goes back to do your job. I would say do your fucking job, but this is a family show.
Not today.
So.
No, I think we've made sure of that.
Right. So it's just one of those things where, like, you know, put the time in. Don't base it off of 15 minutes of gameplay. Don't base it off of not playing the game at all, but going off of what your friends have heard, or what you've heard your friends say, or what you heard somebody else. You know, just following the hate train. I mean, it really irks my nerve, because you got folks, like you said earlier, who have a dream job that we would all love to have, and they're taking advantage of it and not doing what they're supposed to be. They're shortchanging us as gamers, and sadly, there are a lot of weak-minded people who would be swayed into not giving the game a chance.
Yeah.
When in reality, if they gave it a chance, they would discover, as so many people have, that, hey, this game isn't as bad as they say it is. I've been online with people this week that have actually said that to me. Like, you know what? I went on ahead and gave it a shot, and you know what? It's a pretty good game. Yeah. So people who are listening, if you fall in that category and you haven't given this game a shot based on what you've heard, screw what you've heard. Go try the game yourself, especially if you got Game Pass. And if you don't have Game Pass, doggone it, it's only $1. Go spend $1, play the game for $1. I mean, what can you get for $1? Play the game for $1, and I guarantee you will say to yourself, that's the best dollar I've ever spent. I'm done.
He's done. He's done damage controlling. Thank you very much. That was a very good sort of damage controlling session that you did there. I'm just going to pass it on to somebody else who damages control. It's funny, isn't it? Whenever we talk positively about something, we damage control. Apparently, that's what we're told. We're damage control. Yeah. We can't be positive. We can't enjoy our games.
Chris, I thought we were weak-minded.
Yeah, I really.
We're weak-minded, but we're on the console that everybody loves saying.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I understand that there is a place for full reviews, and it's good to get a general understanding of a game, but I won't have somebody else tell me what's good and bad, because what I think is bad, somebody else thinks fantastic. I mean, people love in this country EastEnders and Coronation Street. I think it's utter shit. But people enjoy it in this country. You know, people love all that soap opera rubbish. But that doesn't mean, you know, just because I think it's shit doesn't mean it is, because obviously they enjoy it. But what I'm saying is everybody's opinion on things is different. And I don't need somebody to sit down and play a game and tell me, yeah, you won't enjoy that. I've got my own brain, and I'll enjoy what I enjoy, you know. And I mean, we've said this before, haven't we? I mean, we're all older apart from Andy, but we're all from a generation where we didn't have all this. We went into a shop and picked up a game box, and we looked at the game box and we read the back, and that was our decision on whether we bought that game or not 9 times out of 10. And then we take it home, and sometimes we find a gem, sometimes we find an utter turd. It was the luck of the draw, and that's what gaming was like.
Right.
Nowadays,
Can I just say that I wasn't born in the 2000s, Chris?
I know, but compared to us, I mean, we've got a combined age of 436 between the three of us. And the four of us even so, you know. So.
Hang on, did you mod that like in Fallout?
But what I mean is, like, you know, we're of that generation where we explore, but now it seems to be we've got to be told what to enjoy and what you know, we've got to be told what to not enjoy, and it's just wrong, especially when people aren't even putting proper effort into doing that.
Right.
Is it my turn or no?
It's yours, yes, Hebot. I mean, we had a great time. We were chatting the other day, weren't we, on Xbox Live whilst we were both playing the game.
Sure.
We were having a ball with the game. I mean, so yeah. I mean, what's your thoughts?
Hey, Hebot.
Yeah.
Hey, Hebot. Before you
Yes.
go, I hate to be so rude, but before you, I'm gonna keep it quick, man. Before you go, can I go? I'll just take 5 minutes.
No. Go right ahead.
Hey, so basically, y'all asking me, you asking us what we thought about Crackdown. I played Crackdown. I've been playing it for like a week now since it came out. I didn't know what to expect because I only spent. It's like an echo.
Yeah,
Probably me.
I think Hebot again. He's such a naughty man.
I only touched a little bit on the original Crackdown on Xbox 360. So I was definitely going to play this Crackdown because I get it for Game Pass. I got Game Pass.
Right.
So
Exactly.
something now just frowned down upon by these haters. Like, oh well, you justified it because it's on Game Pass. Like, what did I tell y'all at the last podcast? Okay, I'm having a good time over here sucking. So
Right.
What are you sucking this week?
It's coming on Game Pass. So it came on Game Pass. And yo, I had my slate was heavy. My slate was heavy because I kind of went overboard on the games this month. I mean, 2K was having a sale on WWE 2K19 because I'm kind of a wrestler fan, so I caught that.
Seen you playing that a lot. I've seen you playing that a lot.
It's phenomenal. Hold on. What is that Japanese RPG? Kingdom Hearts came out. I've been on that. Remember, us Xbox dudes, we don't like Japanese games, but Phil went over there and got us all these Japanese games, and you're a fraud, and it's a crime if you don't support these Japanese games that Phil went out and bought. You don't have to try every one of them, Xbox dudes, but at least put your money where the mouth is. All you guys to complain and try one of them. A Japanese fighting game came out called Jump Force. It's kind of hard, but I'm checking that out. But to make a long story short, Crackdown, with the exception of WWE 2K19, I had to stop playing Kingdom Hearts. I had to take a break and I had to stop playing Jump Force because Crackdown, which I had no expectations for, was so addictive. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
The first 15 minutes of the game starts out at night and is very unimpressive. You can kind of see the game is graphically evolving as more development. I can't explain it, but Crackdown 3 comes alive as soon as daytime hits, right?
Yes, sir. Oh, man.
All the reviewers, I believe, Micro, and I'm going to try to make this quick, dude. All because I know he about want to go in. All of the developers, I think, Andy, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I just want to say, Andy, you my dog, dude. Andy, I think all the reviewers, Andy, I think they played that first 5 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they made their reviews off of that. That's just my opinion. Okay, Crackdown 3 comes alive as soon as that daytime hit.
Yeah, man.
For a cell shaded game, this might be the best looking cell shaded game ever. Like, there are 4K textures on the building. The textures pop, metal surfaces pop. And if you don't want to believe me, you can go to Digital Foundry, who checked the game out, and they not only enjoyed it, they said it was beautiful. So what's wrong with Digital Foundry?
Right.
I guess they damaged controlling too, Sherm.
Right.
They've been sucking that crack. That's what they
exactly.
Oh, it's all with that crack.
So I was actually impressed by the 4K textures and the visuals. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know, for a game that's supposed to look like a 360 era game, this shit is popping on my 4K TV. This shit is popping. So as far as the gameplay, everything, I'm gonna just touch quickly on everything Sherm said. My boy Sherm said. So yeah, you start out weak, right? But the guy tells you, because it's this girl who brought you back to life in Crackdown. You're playing the game. Your team got wiped out. It's this Chinese girl to bring y'all back to life. But then the real dude that's in charge of the agency, he starts talking to you through your headset, and he's busy on the phone gassing you up. Like, yo, agent, you want to get stronger? Well, the way to get stronger is to kill. You get skills for kills. So the way Crackdown 3 works is every time you take down this group called Terra Nova, who have taken over the city called New Providence on this island that's locked down by this woman who she's taken over. Her corporation's taken over. So the whole gist of Crackdown is the island is broken down in sections, these little fiefdoms. So your goal is to go around taking down communication stations, taking down tram stations and tram stations and chemical factories. And each time you do that, you face a sub boss until this woman finally unlocks it. You can fight her. Now, I've only gotten to the second sub boss. I beat Rezicon and I beat this big heavyset black dude at this chemical factory. But in order to do that, I had to kill a lot of people so that I could get stronger. And how
don't forget the guy. Don't forget the guy at the port of entry.
Yeah, in the beginning. Yeah. But he was an easy boss. See, what happens is Crackdown gets harder as you skill up and get your
oh man,
Crackdown gets harder. So what happens is in these missions going around, and the more these agency thugs you take down, the stronger your agent gets. The more you grind and go around and get these agility orbs and DNA hitting through the game, which unlocks other agents, you yourself get stronger. Now, hold on now. As you're getting stronger, the group Terra Nova now realize they recognize you as a threat. So now they're going to send out more tougher troops, robots, more security agents to take your ass down. But something weird is happening as you're beating down the Terra Nova organization and freeing these people called the militia. The militia will now fight for your ass. So sometimes the militia will come and fight for me. I've been in firefights, man, where when the fighting starts, people driving other cars will turn away like, oh my God, they fighting. People will start running like, oh my God. The streets, which these reviewers said was empty, are loaded with people. Another thing I like about Crackdown is I have played Batman Arkham, the Batman Arkham series. And yeah, Batman was amazing in that game. He had his little grappling hook and he could go to buildings. I never for once, as great as that game was, felt the verticality, Sherm, and the feeling of verticality that I feel in Crackdown, because in order to get these agility orbs, you got to learn how to scale some of these buildings. And some buildings, your agent can scale easily, and other buildings, like on my YouTube video, you got to find a way to get around and get to your objectives. The feeling of verticality in this game is crazy. And Chris, Microboxer X, as your agent is getting more powerful, he becomes the superhero game that we never knew we wanted, but we got. I literally jumped off a 6-story building, right? And it's a button you hit to use your fist. I literally, matter of fact, back up my bullshit, man. It's on YouTube. I literally hopped off a 6-story building, came down with my fist like Superman, and knocked 6 dudes out that weren't even near me. Dude, it's a superhero game that we didn't know we wanted. This is the superhero game that I didn't know I wanted, because I had no expectations for Crackdown. I don't listen to the reviewer. I don't listen to any of the reviewers when it comes to movies or when it comes to entertainment media, because I know now Rotten Tomatoes has been exposed as far as movies. They've been exposed. We know they're frauds. We know the gaming media is particular to PlayStation, so they're going to shit on anything that's coming from Xbox unless it's Forza, because they don't have Forza. They can't say shit about Forza. So I was expecting Crackdown 3 to be this mediocre piece of shit that everybody was saying. And my thing was, well, I'm getting it for free on Games Pass, so what? And I got blasted for that. I got blasted because I'm getting a perk from Game Pass. But making a long story short, Andy Mack and Sherm and Hebot, I'm really enjoying Crackdown 3. I was surprised by the fidelity of the graphics. I was surprised by the fidelity of the textures. I was surprised by there is a story, but it's not like a story that's going to, like, there are certain games that I see now as a gamer that every game ain't for everybody. You got a guy like Hebot, Sega Forever, who got kids, they got family. As you can hear by Hebot's noise, there's always some shit going down in his house. The water department trying to turn his shit off. Hebot ain't got time for a game like Red Dead Redemption, okay? It ain't that he don't like Red Dead Redemption, Micro. He ain't got time for it. But a game like Contra, a game like Star Warriors Online, whatever Climax that he sent me, or Crackdown, that's a game for him that he could play for a couple of hours. The story is simple, and he could just bang stuff out. But dig this, it ain't about banging shit out because in order to beat Reza Khan, I had to go in with a strategy. I could not beat Reza Khan until, like Shermanator said, I powered up and I got a certain gun. Once I got that certain gun, just like a rocket launcher, now I could take out those mechs and them damn drones to be flying around, shooting the shit out of your ass. Once I powered up, I could now take down these bullies because Crackdown 3, whether you playing an easy, normal, or hard, as your skills improve, they lower the boom on your ass.
Yes, they do.
I have not played Record Zone as the rest of you, so I cannot comment on Record Zone. Matter of fact, because I haven't finished Crackdown, I can't even do a full review. But for right now, I'm enjoying the game. Even now, as we speak, I'm yearning to get back to playing it.
Yeah, me too.
I was not expecting the gameplay to be this much fun. And even Digital Foundry said, people that played the game said the game is fun. We are not damage controlling this game. We are not, Microsoft should be doing better. Look, if Crackdown ain't your cup of tea, fine. But to sit and say that every game should be an interactive movie like God of War or Days Gone or Quantum Break, you are dismissing gamers like Hebot, Sega Forever, and Sega Man at your peril, because them cats are the true gamers who kept gaming going. The new legal, them are the true cats. And I kind of get a gist of the kind of games Sherm play. Those are the cats that keep a gamer going, not y'all casuals. So you can't speak. You can't speak. And my new thing is, if I go to your YouTube channel and I see you commenting on my videos, and I go to your channel and I don't see no gameplay, you're blocked and I'm unsubbed. Okay, because if you have not played these games, you should not speak on them, which I've been guilty of. I've been guilty of blasting PlayStation games and I haven't played them. I don't do that shit no more. Because as I've evolved and grew up, I realized that every game ain't for everybody. Okay, if you like God of War, or if you like Nier Automata, then good on you, man. But don't come over here telling me what I should be playing,
right,
or what I like. Don't be doing that. So to make a long story short, man, I'm really impressed with the quality of Crackdown 3. All these cats out there saying it's mediocre. They're saying that because it's not an interactive movie. And if that's the road we heading down, where every game got to be an interactive movie, we're discounting the thousands of gamers like Hebot who don't have time nor want to play an interactive movie. Also, you're destroying the gaming culture. The gaming culture is dying because gamers play all types of games. And Crackdown 3, Microboxer X, and Andy is a game that I never thought I would like because I was never into those run and gun games, man. I don't remember even playing Contra. I don't even know if I had my consoles when it came out because I left gaming for like 10 years, as Hebot will tell you. But Crackdown 3, there's something to that mindless fun. You have to go in with a strategy, and you just ain't going in and tearing over and busting heads without getting your cranium cracked.
Right.
So I gotta give Crackdown 3 a slow clap. Is it this AAA banger to go up against God of War? Of course not. But it's a game. It's entertaining. I'm having fun with it, and here's gonna be a shocker. I'm having more fun with Crackdown 3 than I did Red Dead Redemption 2. That don't take nothing away from Red Dead Redemption 2, but Red Dead Redemption 2, it was sort of like a movie that I played, whereas Crackdown 3 is a game I'm playing, and I got to go around and do things, find objectives to get better, and try to beat the game. Something that we used to do as gamers, but we got lost in the sauce because of all of these interactive movies. So for me, guys, Crackdown 3 gets a slow clap. And I wasn't expecting to enjoy it this much. And thank you guys for having me on the podcast and letting me speak.
Mate, you are a permanent panel member of the MicroPod, and you can talk as much as you like when you're here. That's as simple as that. You speak the truth.
Thank you.
Do you know what,
brother?
The really confusing thing though is when I've been around gaming for a long time, as have all of you guys, and you keep going on about this Contra, and I'm like, hang on a minute, have I missed something here? What's this Contra? I just had to Google it. No, yeah. So I had to Google it because I didn't know what the hell you're on about, and I found out that in this country it was called Grisor, and I spent hours and hours and hours on that game on my Amstrad CPC and my Commodore 64 and my Amiga. See, look, I didn't know what it was. I thought, Contra? What the hell's Contra? But it's Groizor, and I think I've seen that on the Xbox One dashboard as well. So that's a game I'm going to be picking up now.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know they changed the name for different.
No, they changed it over here. It was called Groizor, and I absolutely loved the game, and graphically for the time as well. Certainly on the Amstrad CPC 464, the graphics were very, very good. They were on a different level to a lot of games that were out at that time. So there you go. I've learned something new. Groizor is Contra. So I'll be buying that later on the Xbox One dashboard.
Excellent. And Micro, I'm sorry, man. The only reason why I wanted to go before he bought is because I'm 50, man, and I'll forget what I had to say. I had to go first, man.
The hair really gives it away, doesn't it?
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude.
I'm slowly but surely catching up with you, mate. So I know
he makes 50 look real good, doesn't he?
I had to get it out.
Yeah, I hope in 4 years' time when I hit 50, I've got the same energy. That's all I can say.
Yeah, exactly.
The old Hitman's turning into the Prince instead of turning into the
Yeah, dear mate. Well, let's get to Hebot then. As I say, we were talking the other day whilst we were playing it, weren't we, mate? We were having a right old ball.
Oh yeah. Well, this is a two-part question because I believe I missed the first part, which is talking about the developers or media giving the game, I guess, bad reviews just for the sake of giving it a bad review. All I can say to answer the first part is, if I'm gonna take my car to a mechanic and I see him pull out his phone and look at YouTube to fix my car or how to fix it, I'm leaving on the spot. And I'm telling him to see you later. Okay? And I'm gonna let him know, listen, go get a new degree.
Funny you should mention that, actually.
Get a new trait because this is not working out for you.
Yeah, no, there's actually a company in the UK that actually does that, Hebot. It's called Halfords. And
Are you serious?
Yeah, but the difference with Halfords is they have to ask you registration before they can actually tell you what you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then they YouTube it and stuff like that, and then put your bulbs in upside down and stuff like that.
That's the world we live in. In the world we live in, we forgot that knowledge comes with experience, hands-on most of the time. And the problem with this, I'm gonna play a little bit the devil's advocate because I know why the reviewers do what they do, right? In the media. Mm-hmm. It's because if they don't go with what's popular, they're not going to eat. They're not going to have a job.
Yeah.
You understand? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm very old school and a very firm believer that if you are very responsible to your audience by being honest and showing that you care about what you do in any medium, you will get your viewership, your popularity, and the love and respect that you're going to deserve in the job that you do. I'm a very firm believer in that. That's why I cannot justify places like IGN and Kotaku and any other place like Game Report or anything that's very Sony-centric, right? Saying, well, we have other things to do, so we can't just concentrate on one game. That's why you have multiple people to play multiple games individually. And you give it to the person that loves and understands each individual genres. That's why I use the mechanic example. You can't tell a person that only likes RPGs to review a beat 'em up. You can't do that. Because for them, it's something mindless because you don't have to sit there and read 3,000 hours of text before you figure out how to do one potion. Mm-hmm. For me, that's not a turn on. For me, that's just boredom. I can't do that. And no, I don't get satisfaction after I figure it out. You could do that with 2 or 3 sentences, not 5,000 sentences of dialogue. I'm sorry. That's not for me. So what I have to say about media is we need to speak out because they need to understand that, yes, this is about a hobby called video games, right? even though it's the highest and most profitable medium in the world at this point, even bigger than movies, right? When at one point it was the laughing stock of the entire world, right? Now it's respected as fan art, and I've said this before, as a beautiful piece of artistry, from the sound engineering to the sound music composer, the acting, the voiceover, the mocapping, the graphical designs, engineering for the games itself and the levels, and that's a beautiful thing. But what people don't understand, especially the new age gamers, the younger base, it's because of us, the root gamer, that it has the respect and has come as far as it has because of us. Not you, not the future, it's us. And if you can't respect who made it, what it is today, and what we say and our deals and our perspective and what we try to message to you so that you can understand and grasp the nature of the culture, then you're going to kill gaming.
Preach, Ebot.
Period. Okay? And that's why they do not like us, because they think, oh, these old motherfuckers, they think they could be in our level. You're crazy. You can't beat me. This is not about beating you. This is about understanding how hard it was to get gaming to be respected as a hobby and as an art and a medium. Okay? And you guys are taking all these beautiful pieces of work that people create and do, and because you feel entitled, because I'm paying for it. You know how many options you guys have, from Game Pass all the way to Netflix, or GameFly, to renting it in a local mom and pop video store.
Yes.
You guys have options. You do not have to spend $60 and get burnt with a game like E.T. That was dog shit.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. We did, and our parents did. And because we didn't like the game, our parents would whoop our ass because we made them buy it in the first place and wouldn't buy us another game. You see what I'm trying to say? They tell us that's the game you pick, you keeping it, whether you like it or not. They whoop us, and then we would have to wait another 8 months to get another game. Okay? So, you guys got to stop being spoiled and entitled, right? To whatever that message may fit. Okay? I'm not pointing fingers at anybody in particular. You know who you are, then you know what I'm saying and who I'm talking to. And that's why. You gotta understand, we came from an era that we didn't see the magazine reviews until 2 months later after the game was already out, because magazines would take 2 or 3 months to solicitate to be published, right? So by the time we got it, we've experienced the game hands-on. So no review could spoil it for us. Because we read it, and then we were like, wait, what is he talking about? That shit was not the way I felt when I played the game. There was no way for them to damage the games before they released. Okay? Now, the problem is they want to have these reviews out before the games even come out. And to be honest, I feel that needs to change. They need to let people play the game first, let it come out, then let the reviewers review the game. 2 or 3 weeks, a month later, I know people are going to, but then I can't have a fucking like a platform where I can kind of measure if the game is worth my time. Yes, you do. That's why you have Game Pass. That's why you have Netflix or GameFly. That's why you have Redbox. That's why you have go buy it, use a GameStop. If you don't like it, bring it back. There's many options. So that's an irrelevant excuse. Okay? There's no excuses. Now, for you to try a game without having really to lose anything, you have more than enough options. Okay? They need to change that, because these reviews are hurting games, and these reviewees are doing it on purpose because they think it's funny. You got to understand, Microsoft has 4 titles coming out this year. Sony has 1 big one. So they have to make sure that they dog something, because they can't dog Gears 5. They're not going to be able to. So they want to make sure that at least the one game that Sony brings out, which is Days Gone, that they judge it and they glorify it, because Sony's not even going to be at E3. They have to dog Crackdown 3. They have to. Because if they don't, they're going to hurt their darling Sony. Okay? And you know, something like Battletoads and Ori, is going to score well, but it's not a big, high property where you're going to see it in billboards. You're going to have a midnight release, an event like New York Times Square, like they do with Gears and Halo and Forza. You understand? So it's not as well broad and spec out there as an event. You know what I mean? It's not an event. It's just a release, and that's it. So it's more of a critical acclaim as opposed to an event with good critical acclaim, you know? So that's my take and my thoughts on the reviewers and how they damage a lot of the games. Now, no real gamer uses any metric of reviews or a reviewee, period. We go and explore and see for ourselves, because for every gamer, it's going to be a different experience. Okay? Because gaming is auditory, physical, emotional, visual. It's every single thing. It's not like music that is just auditory that gives you some emotion. It's not like a movie that is auditory and music and visual that gives you emotion. This is actually something you're touching and feeling. Okay? And it's that what makes it so distinctive and unique at the same time. So now, Crackdown 3, my thoughts on Crackdown 3. I have a compare and contrast video I'm doing as we speak. I'm going to do the first one versus the new one, side by side, like I've done in traditional old videos. And I'm going to break it down little by little, so you guys are more than welcome to stay tuned for that. But as here, as where we are speaking, I'm going to give you my thoughts. With no pun intended, Crackdown 3 is a game that is like you're smoking crack. Okay?
I've heard Hebot say this so much this week.
Okay.
Really, he loves it.
So, why do I say that? Because it's a game that's designed with an addictive nature, like E-Rock and Sherman said. It's a game that when you play it, right, to appreciate Crackdown, you have to understand Crackdown. Once you play it, I guarantee you, you're going to go play other things. And in the back of your mind, you're like, God damn, I want to go play Crackdown 3 again.
Right.
And I don't know why that is, but I'm going to tell you why I think that is. Okay? First and foremost, the first thing you'll notice with Crackdown 3 is the controls. If you beat the first one like I beat the first one, and I also beat Crackdown 3 already, for those who think I may not beat it, I did.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Crackdown, the gameplay control is leaps and bounds, night and day leaps from what it was before. It is so fluid. It is so responsive, right? It's basically the polish of the game. It is extremely polished, okay? Now, you guys got to understand that the multiplayer part and the gameplay part of the campaign were done by individual houses. Sumo Digital has never done a AAA game before in this magnitude. What they have done has been mainly racers. So yes, the racing element of the game is more arcadey because they've done games like Outrun. They're doing the new Sonic Racers. They did Sonic All-Star Racers Transform. One of the best kart racers ever. Better than any Mario Kart. Okay? And yeah, I said that. Play it and you'll know why. Now, they did their job. Now, as far as the multiplayer goes, it feels exactly what it's supposed to feel. It's like something new. It's different and it hasn't been mastered. But it was done by certain Infinity. You had 3 other companies that were involved that had to start all over, and then another one came in and then did it again, that they worked on things like the Master Chief Collection and multiplayer. These guys only specialize on multiplayer, but they played it safe, and you can tell, because the technology has never really been done on that level before. They wanted to work correctly, and still with all that, the game still has glitches and problems. But that was something that they were very forward and adamant and expressed themselves and said, we're going to address it, but this is why we didn't do this. This is why I didn't have matchmaking with friends or chat parties with friends, because we wanted to make sure that what we brought out was solid and not broken. Okay, because they don't have the freedom and they don't have the pass or the get over, if you will, type of attitude that all these other companies get from the gamers now in the community. When it's something related to Microsoft, they make sure they try to crucify it right away. It's hold at a different standard, at a higher standard, because they think, oh, Microsoft got money. They can have all the money in the world. It's about development and developers. The developers have to be professionals and they have to have experience in what they're doing to make a game good. It could be a small game, it could be a big game. It doesn't matter. It's about the developer and what he creates and the time he's given to create it. And I think they were more afraid of it being messed up, even though it would have had all the other features. And then they would have to deal with the backlash of everybody else criticizing because it's buggy, because it keeps ripping, because it keeps freezing, because the frame rate issues or whatever. But I think it's something that's going to get built bigger and built with time, just like Sea of Thieves and something like a Titanfall or an Apex or like a Fortnite or a PUBG. Crackdown 3, like I said already, the first thing you'll notice is polish, the fluidity of the gameplay. Crackdown 3 delivers a pyrotechnic of lighting in neon lights that you've never seen in any game. In any game. The attention of detail to the neon design, lights, pyrotechnics, all the flickering and the changing that you see in the world, especially at night when you look at it. It's designed when you first start, it looks real simple. It doesn't look really impressive. It looks bland. But as you keep progressing, the world keeps exposing itself to you. And if you notice, the way they designed it, all the civilization of people are living under the bridges and close to the toxic waters in these little shacks that looks like houses from like Puerto Rico, right? From people that live over there poor in the mountains. And all the rich people live on the high rises and up in the skylines. And when you go, and as you go up more, you'll see it. There's more people. You'll even see it in the way they're dressed.
Yeah.
And these are the little details that people don't talk about, like they do with Sony games. When you look at the people on the top, where they're rich, and you can tell they have the money, where they control, they're dressed more with nicer clothes, right? They look more appropriate. Their cars look more elegant. When you look at the people that live in the sewers areas or in next to the toxic waste or underneath the bridges, they all look poor. They have backpacks. They look almost like bums in the street, the way they designed it.
Hey, He-Bot, not to cut you heard what the narrator said, the boss is in charge of the agency. Welcome to the rich section. Where
And it's there. But E-Rock, it's there. If you pay attention, it's there. But see, that's why I'm trying to break it down the way they break down PlayStation games, because nobody breaks down Xbox games the way they break down PlayStation games. So I'm going to do it. If you look at the cars, each car has simple details like stop, reverse, and it says it in the back. A really nice subtle light that comes up.
Yeah.
And if you look at the lights themselves, they're no longer regular lights that are attached to the car. They're actually fluorescent neon lights that are illuminating from the car that looks like traditional lights, but they're lights that are neon. They look almost 3D. The game has associated look, but it's not associated like the traditional sense. It's real photorealistic graphics with associated outline around it. Okay? When you look at rocks, it looks like rocks. When you look at the toxic waste, it looks like toxic waste. When you look at the lava, it looks like lava. Everything has a really distinct look, but it looks very sophisticated, if that makes any sense. Another thing, Crackdown I think would benefit extremely. This one of my cons that I have with it is that it needs Dolby Atmos, because Dolby Atmos changes every sound and property individually. So you'll never lose a sound from one of the orbs or from the people talking. Because if you notice, when you're fighting, you hear people screaming, run, get out of the way. They talk. They have personality. I also feel like they could have maybe, and this is another con, not been so safe with Terry Crews. I wish they did a little more extreme with Terry Crews because he has,
he's a nutter,
like,
isn't he?
I feel like he needed more lines and do more crazy things, like ripping people in half or something, because of his character. It fits his character. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
But if you notice, that I think they played it safe. I want more of that because I think it's awesome, and I think they played it safe and it needed more of that. But if you also notice, not only are the sound effects, like Shermanator said, are spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
The soundtrack, it is amazing.
Oh yeah,
it is.
But
you're right.
The problem with the soundtrack is because they don't use Dolby Atmos, it kind of gets faded by all the other effects and sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really hear it. But what I will tell you is go to Spotify, type out Crackdown 3, and listen to the soundtrack.
Nice.
Every soundtrack that's there, it's in the game. Because I turned off all the sound effects and left just the music to hear the soundtrack. Because I love soundtracks in movies and in games. Always have. The soundtrack is something straight out of something like Tron, the Legacy, out of obviously Blade Runner. But the world, more for me, feels more like a dark comic, kooky world like Total Recall. Yeah. With Arnold. That's what it feels like the most.
Hey, Hebot, can I ask you a question? Because I know you played both games, and excuse us, man. I know this podcast is going on longer than you wanted.
No, it's okay.
We should not have started talking about Crackdown. Hebot,
go ahead.
You played a lot of superhero games, right? You even played the ones that I didn't touch, like Spider-Man back in 2016. Like, and you played Arkham games, and you played the recent Spider-Man game that everybody's talking about. What did you think about the verticality in Crackdown 3 and how it makes you, at least with me, it made me feel like I was climbing those buildings? Like,
well, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. The verticality of the game is part of the addiction. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It's part of the appeal. It's weird because when we grew up playing platformers, we hated the platformers because they were difficult, right?
Yeah.
But the way they did platforming in Crackdown,
those communication towers.
It's like it was like the fun fact. It's like the fun factor of Sunset, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the difficulty of Recore polished to a new level because you want a platform in Crackdown. That's what I'm trying to say. And I even think that it hurts the game in a way because the car element is very cool, but it's not implemented in a way where it forces you to do it. So you kind of ignore it because you want to just be at your feet playing like a superhero or a RoboCop, you know?
Right.
And it sucks because the car element is really good as well because it's designed where you got to level yourself up. And the more you level yourself up with your fighting, with your jumping, with your traversing, with your shooting, and with your driving, the better and strong, the better the feel of that mechanic is going to feel in your controller and in your hand. So by the time you level up your driving to the max, every car is going to feel smooth as butter. And that's what I was trying to explain to Microbox. Same thing with the fighting. And another thing a lot of people did not notice, when you first start, your agent has a normal build, right? But as you get stronger, he actually gets built and his neck gets wider, his arms get bigger. And then it starts putting on top of that a suit on top of it. If you notice, it's another detail that a lot of people haven't talked about, as well as the personality with each boss that you fight. Each boss that you fight also has a big mouth. They talk a lot of junk.
Yeah, they do.
But the boss fights are a lot more in epic scale than the original. The original was just you fought them, that was it. It was kind of like not really. They really didn't feel. In other words, they didn't feel distinctive to one another. They felt the same. Okay, there's a lot of variety in the game as far as different things that you fight. But I'm gonna tell you, when you get that bazooka that you hold down and shoots like 12 rounds of missiles at once, if you don't feel like a badass using that thing, I don't know what is. But that thing is amazing. And what I like what they did with the weapon system is they did it where each weapon works better with certain type of enemies.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Ninja Gaiden, where you use certain weapons for certain creatures and fiends, and you can use a scythe or a nunchuck, and it won't work as well as the katana for certain characters. You got to figure that out. Yeah. Which weapon kills different characters quicker. And it goes, the same thing applies to the boss battles. Okay? It's another level and depthness to the gameplay. It's not just mindless. No, it has a frenetic feel like Doom. You know how Doom moves fast and you're fucking shit up and you got to keep moving? You can't let the controller down. Yeah. So that's why I say that that's why the game becomes so addicting, because the level of difficulty as you get stronger, it ramps up. And when you have level 5 alert, let me tell you, even on normal, you'll have a half an hour battle before you finally eliminate all the people they send at you. Because if you don't, you're gonna die, and then you're gonna have to start all over. Okay, and it's very, very challenging. Then when you start picking up the cars and throwing it, you also got to be careful, because it punishes you if in the middle of a battle. If in the middle of a battle, you kill civilians. Yeah, that's another attention to detail that people didn't point out. You will get punished.
Be careful, agent. You don't want to get hunted by the very people you're here to protect.
Yeah, right. And what happens is, the blue guys that are now your alliance, right?
Yeah.
They turn on you and they start killing you, and you got to run away from them.
Yeah.
Another thing is, if you'll notice as well, when you start to free the people that are captured, the people that were living in the bayous, that in the ghetto, in the game, start to come up to where the rich people are, and they start to take control and help you. And then you'll start seeing, you'll start to see the NPCs grow. You'll see more people and more cars, because I think the idea was that there was hardly no people on top, because it was controlled by the rich. And as you eliminate them and help the poor, it starts to get back to normal. That was the idea, I think, behind the sumo creation of Crackdown.
Damn, y'all further along than me.
Oh yeah. You'll see it. Just pay attention. I played the game.
Yeah. You know what? I noticed. In fact, a couple of nights ago, I noticed when I liberated a certain section of town, and before I liberated it, the billboards, that chick that's always on the intercom talking garbage, and she's got, Terra Nova billboards everywhere and blah, blah, blah. And after I liberated that one section of town, of course, Terry Crews started broadcasting and some hilarious stuff.
Yeah, singing
and not only that, the billboards started changing up.
Yeah.
And you hear before the liberation of that part of town, the NPCs, they were talking about like, oh, woe is me. Oh, the Terra Nova's full of shit and blah, blah, blah. They're saying all that. But then after the liberation, they're like, I think I could make a weapon out of this pipe over here, and you start hearing them. Yeah, they start saying things like you was talking about. So
wow,
man. There's a lot of thought went into that game.
There's a lot of detail that people are not pointing out. But if it would have been a PlayStation game, they would have pointed it out.
Oh,
so that's why it's my job as the pony destroyer that I like to be, to point it out. Okay, because it's fun. Because I know how, and I will. I won't back off, because I like to talk by knowledge, and I have the knowledge because I pay attention. Now, to try to cut to the chase, right? The other thing is, I see a lot of people that said things like, "Oh well, the little chores you do, they're kind of lame. When basically what you're doing, everything you do, it serves a purpose. For example, when you liberate the towers, is to eliminate the bad messaging of communication from Terra Nova, right? When you take out the toxic pipelines, is to eliminate the toxic waste they're putting into the waters that is harming the people and getting them sick. When you kill the barrel stands that they're selling this chemical or this drink,
Monkey moonshine.
That's hurting the people. That's hurting the people. You eliminate it and they start getting better. And when you start doing this, you start seeing more people in the world because people are now not being sick. You see it. It makes an effect in the world as you do certain things. The same way with those carts, the train carts, those what are the trolley carts? When you eliminate them, people can now start using them. Not just the rich, the poor as well. The other ones become turrets that actually help you in battle because they have laser beams and they shoot and they kill you and they kill drones that they send at you and helicopters while you're fighting to make the battles easier. You find DNA of soldiers that got killed to reproduce them again, which is also cool. It's basically giving you all the elements of an RPG without you having to manage it. It manages it by you dedicating more playtime. The more you play it, the more you unlock and the more you upgrade. It's done for you, but it's done by you playing and having fun. It has a purpose. And for those who say
that's why they don't like it.
Yeah, like you gotta kill all these parking lots with the tanks of the bad guys so that when you have a battle, they send less tanks at you or less cars at you with bad guys. You see what I'm saying? Everything you do is to help you progress in the world. Now in Spider-Man, for example, all these people were gloating about it, but you had things like you had to save pigeons or catch pigeons. You had to swing through dark clouds in order to liberate smoke. You just swing through them. You didn't do nothing, just swing at them. You had to go to the ocean and throw a little violin of something. They don't even show it to you to save fishes that are sick. You had to look for little ceramic cat statues so that you could find Catwoman, okay, or whatever her name is. The one that's in the game, the Spider-Man's nemesis, Black Cat, that girl, right? Those are the kind of missions you had in Spider-Man, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, this game is incredible! All the missions." In fact, you had a mission where you had to look through garbage cans around the world so that you can find a transmitter stuck in one of the garbage cans.
Yeah, one of the reviews for Crackdown 3 said it was collectible heavy.
Well, the game. See what reason?
Can we just take a minute to laugh at that?
The reason why I bring that up, the reason why I bring Spider-Man up is those missions were boring. They were not really intuitive, and they were dumb. But people glorified them because it was a Spider-Man Marvel game, right? Yet Crackdown is giving you things to do. It doesn't overstay its welcome because it's not a whole shitload of things you got to do. If you have to, for example, the towers, there's like 8 of them. That's it. The toxic waste plants, there's like 7 of them. That's it. They're not 20 or 50 of them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't overstay its welcome.
Hey, you know what Crackdown's biggest problem is?
Yeah.
It doesn't have a PlayStation logo on it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Yeah, pretty much.
This is
exactly. Absolutely. So to end it, basically, Crackdown is, and even that, one more thing, that night and day cycle, even that is a big difference because that was never in any of the other existing ones. And when you see that happen in real time,
yeah, man,
the game dynamic and colors and shadows and lighting, they just pop. It's so beautiful to look at. It's really, really nice.
Yeah.
When it's dusk and even when it's dusk, you see the horizon and everything looks gorgeous. It's a game that you have to see in person to appreciate it.
Yeah.
You can't just look at it and even screenshots. That's why I put up screenshots between Spider-Man and between Crackdown, and people got mad because in Spider-Man, the baked reflections of the towers on the glasses of the buildings are pixelated. In Crackdown, they have so much detail with neon lights, and everything looks crisp and sharp. There's no pixelation whatsoever. It barely even has any bump mapping where things pop up. The game is so polished that when you can have so much chaos, it doesn't drop in frame rate at all. So my only con would be that they would utilize the cars by giving you missions, maybe that you have to use the car, even a boss battle using the car. That would have been dope. I think for them to continue it forward, if they do another one, add that, make the car have more of a presence so that people can see how good the car mechanics and features are. Because one of the cars that you get from the agency, when you transform it, you can go up buildings. It sticks to the wall.
Right. The spider.
You see what I'm saying? And then you can do flips onto other buildings and transform and start fucking shit up. It has so much dynamic, and it's underused because they made the addiction of traversal, like Mr. E-Rock said it, so good that it makes you kind of ignore the driving feature. And the other con would be that they should give it a patch where you can have dynamic 4K so it could run in 60 frames, because in 60 frames, I think it would even benefit even more, even though the game's already good as it is, for those who like frame rate as well. But my overall score would be a solid 8 because of the cons that I said. But the game doesn't deserve any of the hate it's getting, for sure.
Oh, I'm talking away there, and I repeated myself. Why did I bother? No, I say definitely not. No, spot on. See, this is what I mean. I mean, everybody that I've spoken to, and all of you guys have all basically said the same thing, that you've enjoyed the game. Are you finished, Hebot? Are you, Hebot? You all done?
Yeah. I said a mouthful. I mean, I was trying to, hit every piece and corner I can, but it needs to be said, because if it's not said, no one else is going to do it but us.
Yeah, no, it does definitely need to be said. I mean, we'll pass it over to Andy now as the last one on this subject. I think we've only managed 2 subjects tonight. This has been Andy's the talk on this.
Well, technically, we have actually mentioned Anthem.
We have technically mentioned Anthem.
But in the same light as how we're talking about Crackdown 3, really.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this is something that maybe we can discuss on the next one with Jago on. So I know he's gone off.
We can have an Anthem special.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'll have got some more time in it then, so I'll know a little bit more about it. But no, Andy. I mean, just to finish off this topic, mate. I mean, to finish off the podcast. I mean, what's your thoughts on Crackdown 3 and all the hate?
Well, my thoughts are that I agree with what everybody has said. I mean, what I like about Crackdown, having never even played one before, I've only ever seen my mate play it on the 360, and it's just, for me, it's one of those games that I'd always play and enjoy. I just knew I would, and went in and I had a quick go. I say quick go. When you're one of those night owl type gamers and you say, "Oh, I'll have a quick go on that," I didn't actually get a shower until like 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like, well, that was a quick go, wasn't it? What I like about Crackdown as well is it just looks really, really good, considering like what E-Rock mentioned about it looking like a 360 game. I'm like, what 360 game look like this?
Right.
Right. Yeah. What I really do like about Crackdown, for me personally, is that I don't have to like touch like the triggers, the bumpers for like any old like say jumping and dashing. I can use like the joystick clicks. I mentioned it in the chat to a few people. Just having that option with those controls is a really good benefit for me, because if I have my fingers over like the triggers and the bumpers at the same time, it just takes away the fun because I can't use them as quick as I would like to. But you know, there's nothing else you can really say about it. I mean, my score is just a very casual 7, but that's only because I don't actually feel comfortable giving score numbers at all.
That makes sense.
But that's just on the single player, which that's all I wanted to play the game for. People who talk about Game Pass are going, oh, I'll get it on Game Pass, I'm not buying that. It's like, it defeats the object of saying you're not going to buy it, and then you're going to support them anyway by using Game Pass.
Yes.
Everyone's going, oh yeah, I'm not buying that. I'm going to get it on Game Pass. Thank God for Game Pass. It's like are you really
Andy, can I say something? I say something about what you just said?
Yeah.
Let me, to what Andy is saying, I want to add something. Anyone that says, oh, I just played on Game Pass because it's not worth the time, is because they had no intentions to supporting the game, period.
Thank you.
That's just the cop-out, period. Because look at E-Rock. E-Rock said, I had no expectations. But goddamn, when I played the game, it took my life away. And that shows you that the game is serving its purpose. Continue, Andy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like the Game Pass, you're actually supporting the developer because they obviously get a little bit on the side for it, don't they? They're not just going to go, yeah, we'll give you our game for free. You're supporting the game. You're supporting the developers. So if you're making a point about the multiplayer by playing it via the Game Pass, it defeats the object. You're still doing what you're not wanting to do. You start smacking your head against the wall, and it's just like, do you have any idea what you're talking about? And then you look at them and go, oh, you've got a YouTube channel with like 3,000 subscribers. You know, right?
Unreal.
There's like the talk about Xbox exclusives as well with Crackdown 3 is that, you know, they go, oh, it needs to be like God of War. It's like, why does it need to be like God of War? It doesn't need to be. You know, we play our games on Xbox because we enjoy different art styles. We like the music in these games.
Preach, Andy, preach.
We've got Devil May Cry coming up next in something like 10 or 13 days. Now, every time you go into a fight section of the game, you get this awesome soundtrack which builds up to the fun. You know, you're like, oh, I hope some more enemies come because I want to listen to the rest of that track. You know, right? Everything's beneficial. You know, like this. When I was playing Crackdown, right, the best thing about some of these games is that have like realistic art styles is if you go up to rocks really close, right, you can see what they've done is it's a bit like those really old art pieces of art where it's like some like 16th century art, but where you look at it from a certain distance, it looks really, really phenomenal. But then you go up, you know, you basically like touching the canvas, right?
The Monet effect.
Yeah, and it just looks really tacky, doesn't it? I mean, it's not a bad thing to say that, really, but you know, you take a step back and you enjoy it. But with Crackdown, you go up and you just see little extra bits added to it, a little bit of finesse to like some of the rock faces and stuff like that, and you know, you get that little black line around some of the pipes and stuff like that, just to give it that little extra little polish to the game. You know, you look at your character, you know, your character shines, and then you zoom in on like the face, and then you're like going, oh my god, I'm Terry Crews. every time, like I've gone up, I think I've gone up all of the propaganda towers, right? And some of them are harder than others, obviously, because of your character.
Some of them are not.
Oh my god!
Yeah, right. I've fallen off that many times. I don't even get mad because every once in a while I'll get some like really funny comment from Terry Crews. He just adds it doing it. And like when you actually do jump and you actually get to the platform and you nail it, he goes, fuck gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you got people like going, oh, it's this, it's that. It's like everyone at Xbox, like Aaron Greenberg said, it's a game that doesn't take itself too seriously. It's like another thing. It's another thing that shows you that people don't actually pay attention to like the progression of the game and what type of game it is. Got somebody in Micro's comment section this week saying, "Oh yeah, it had a really bad story. Yeah, it was rubbish. Really bad story." It's like the game isn't story driven to the extent of a Sony exclusive with the emotional effect of Bambi. It's just not got it. It's the idea is, you know, you're going around town, you're liberating things, you know. You're collecting orbs, you're jumping around, you're having a good crack.
Yeah,
Use the fun.
Let's put this into perspective, right? I mean, if we were how we are now when gaming started, you know, would we have had, you know, such massive hits like Space Invaders and Pac-Man? Those games would have just been, what's the fucking story? They're just shit. You know, people don't appreciate it the same. They do not appreciate it the same.
They got people. They're like we've said tonight. People are what's the name? They expect to have things, you know, a certain way, right? Now, the last couple of weeks, I've like been doing some digging, and there's people in the YouTube community that will take a big, massive dump on what a developer's doing with the game because it's not going to be on their system, right? And these people haven't even played any of the other games on like Xbox, for instance. And you're just like, you know, what are you just making stuff for the sake of it? And I think a lot of these companies and review sites, it's all about the view count. Obviously, we all know that damage, if you destroy a game, it will get you more hits because all people want to know is how bad a game is. This is why I never listen to critics, because I just think they're a waste of space and air, and they should just walk off a cliff because it's useless to everybody. They are destroying things more than they are like supporting. I mean, like Apex, they destroyed Apex, and then they realized, oh wait, gamers actually like that game. And it's just, you see it with everything. Crackdown is fun, but all they want to know is how crap it is. What
the faults are, you know. Yeah. And no game is perfect. There's not a single game that's perfect.
I mean, what's the difference? We all know what the difference is between Xbox games and PlayStation games is that, you know, the higher standards, right? But not one person will agree with you who's like very pro PlayStation about the tiny little nitpicking stuff that you can do to their games. You know, it's like, oh yeah, the story, realistic art style, yeah. But what about the water in God of War? It looked dog shit. I've seen better water in on a remastered Assassin's Creed game than I have with the water on God of War.
Hey Andy, you can swim in Crackdown. You can't swim in God of War.
Right.
Wow. What are you talking about?
It's true.
But it's just, it really is. There really is like double standards. You know, we all know that people don't play games the way they used to. Only like there's like a small minority of people that play games for fun on Twitter.
Andy,
you don't know them because they're too busy playing.
They're too busy playing. Yeah.
How hypocritical is it to blast God of War? I mean, to blast Crackdown 3 for its cell shaded art style, which is beautiful, but yet you Nintendo dudes, y'all hyping up the next Mario. PlayStation dude.
No, they're hyping up the new Zelda game.
The new Zelda game. You got guys,
which is a remaster of a Game Boy game, by the way.
Shush. That's besides the point. It's Nintendo.
Thank you. You got guys out there excited for the next Bomberman. Crash Bandicoot kart racing is coming out. And I remind you, last year, 2 years ago, Nier Automata They was hyping that up, and that looked like a PlayStation 2 early game. So you know what, gaming, you trying to put gaming into a video.
Esa vieja está bien dura, coño.
Every or realistic.
La vieja está loca, she was.
95% of developers shouldn't even bother. From now on, it should be no more Bomberman, no more Mario, no more nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every game should be a new IP.
That's all.
Yeah.
Go.
Triple A.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, you know, there is a place for story-driven games. I mean, I enjoy Tomb Raider, and I enjoy.
Micro.
Yeah.
Is there one little thing I can say real quick?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Sure.
I need to cut you off.
Yeah.
I
No.
want to give a shout out to my boys.
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
they were telling me, yeah, my boys Darius and Zach, because they were telling me that it'd be very cool that if they do another one, right, Crackdown 4, right,
Yeah.
that should add more characters that that have that larger than life type of personality, like Terry Crews, and they suggested that they should put somebody like The Rock and Jason Momoa to add him to his squad.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be really cool.
And then then at the end, right, in like a during the credits, Vin Diesel comes out in a car.
Oh yeah.
They should.
No, do you know what should be really good though? Do you know what would be really funny? If the next game they do, Crackdown 4, right, the first boss, just like how he is in TV shows, dies, and that character will be played by Sean Bean. You can't catch a break, that guy.
They should just do what Stallone did, and then just make the Crackdown Expendables, and just get everybody in it.
Yeah. They've got the cash.
Definitely. Do you know what? I've forgotten what I was saying now.
That's the end of the podcast.
It is. Do you know what? Even on 2 subjects, we've gone over again. That's unbelievable.
Okay.
It's a nightmare, but
no, it's all good.
It's been another fantastic podcast, and oh my god, I've had 3 cans of cider whilst I've been doing it, and I'm feeling a bit tipsy now. I must admit, I'm feeling a bit Andy Mack.
No, I had 3 cans of Thatcher's, like probably like half an hour before the game, not all at the same time. I started at 4:45, and it slowly graduated to 6.
Oh dear. Anyway, yeah, no, that's it. That is the MicroPod episode 18. Done and dusted. It's been another great podcast. It's always the same. Whenever us guys get together, we could just talk and talk and talk. I still reckon we could do a 24-hour podcast, you know. I don't think it's at the realms of possibility. I really don't.
You could do it for a charity one day.
Yeah,
Special effects. The charity that nobody really talks about on Twitter, but they're always hyping up the adaptive controller, though.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But no, it's been another great podcast, and you know, we're doing all right, guys. We're doing all right. We're having a good time doing it as well. And we will be back. We're actually going to be back next week. Surprise, surprise. We're going to be back next week. We're doing a back-to-back. Guys, we're doing a back-to-back. And next week, we're going to be joined by Jago Kukin. He was actually quite prominent in the chat tonight as well until he had to go.
Awesome.
He's been busy playing Anthem, so he'll be on the show joining us next week.
What are you doing?
I think
he's on mute. He's muted.
Yeah, I don't know. He's eating something. I'll tell you what.
This is a problem with white backgrounds.
I'm not doing nothing. I'm behaving.
Something that's been mentioned a few times tonight in the chat as well is there seems to be somebody's smoke alarm beeping. I don't know who it is.
There's somebody's smoke alarm going crazy.
Is it Sherman's? It's been mentioned a few times in the chat tonight, and I thought I better mention it. Yeah, there it went again. Look.
Wait. What are you saying?
There's like a periodic beeping in the background. It sounds like a smoke alarm needs a new battery or something.
Oh yeah, that's probably me. Yeah, that's probably me. The smoke detector is No, you know what? You know, smoke detectors, just real quick, they have a shelf life, and you can replace the batteries over and over, and it won't really matter because there's, you know, a lot of people don't know there's a very small amount of nuclear material in every smoke detector, and that stuff degrades over time, and when it does, then the whole detector has to be replaced. So yeah, so
that's a self-destruct alarm then that's going off.
so yeah, it could be. But so like when this house was built, they installed all the smoke detectors at the same time, and now all of them are going out at the same time.
God.
So they all have to be replaced.
Oh Jesus.
So I replaced the batteries in all of them, and they still, yeah. So I talked to a couple of technicians, and they were like, yeah, so you're gonna have to replace them all. And
see that. Yeah, Indie Gamer said safety first, change that smoke battery alarm.
Oh, for sure. That's
not just
without
one.
a doubt.
Not just one.
No, gotta replace them all. So we're talking about changing out about 11 of them.
Oh my God.
Can you install it, right, and then wait like 30 seconds, and then do the other one, and then 30 seconds and do the other one, right? Or get it so one beeps, and then it goes beep 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 beep.
I guess you could do that.
Yeah.
Oh jeez.
What you should get is a Terry Crews smoke alarm.
Yeah, that would be good.
Boom, you're on fire.
Change your battery,
Fuck
suckers.
gravity.
Wait, hey, you know what? You guys just made me think of something, especially considering, Andy, what you were talking about with the sequel. If they do a Crackdown 4, and of course Terry Crews will be back, and then you have The Rock in there. You have Vin Diesel.
Momoa.
You have Jason. You have Jason Momoa in there, and then as one of the bosses, it just dawned on me.
One of the bosses will be him, Sergeant Slaughter from G.I. Joe.
Wow.
With the Triple T as his vehicle. That's what they need to do.
Yeah, you could do that. Now you just threw off my train of thought. Oh man! Wow,
Write it down, and save it for the next show.
Yeah, it would have been perfect as far as one of the bosses. I remember now. No. So one of the bosses that either one of the characters would have to go up against could be Mr. T.
Nice. Nice.
Your ass.
The original play.
That would be hilarious.
A bit of food, sucker.
I ain't going on no plane.
Crackdown 4 now has planes.
That'd be awesome, dude.
The DLC's a magic carpet.
Okay.
Oh my God. Anyway, we've got to wind this up, guys. We could be chatting here all night, but we've got to wind it up. We've got to save some. At least we've got subjects for next week. But it's been another great podcast, and myself and E-Rock are actually going to be back podcasting on Tuesday. We're resurrecting an old podcast we used to do called the Microfilm. So we're back on Tuesday and I put the world to rights on movies as well as gaming. So yeah.
Am I still welcomed or no?
Yes, you are, mate. Yes, you are. Of course you are.
What time on Tuesday?
8 p.m. Same time as now.
Okay.
But yeah, we're resurrecting the Microfilm podcast, and
I'll be sure to check it out.
We're going to be talking movies and TV and all sorts going on there. I'm sure we've got lots to talk about.
Will the first episode be Confessions of a Disney Fanboy? Special episode for E-Rock.
Yeah, I knew that's where you were going.
No, it's going to be a good show. We've got a lot to catch up on, and we haven't done it for a long time. So we're coming back, and it's going to be, well, we're basically relaunching it. So it's going to be season 1. So really looking forward to doing that. That's going to be awesome. But yes, Hebot, you're more than welcome to still be in. I wasn't sure if you'd be able to make it being a Tuesday, but the
On the
space.
road or at home, I'll find a way.
Excellent, excellent. So that's it. I'll just, I think, well, Sherman, if you want to say your goodbyes, buddy, let everybody know where you are and how to find you anywhere and Xbox Live. And
Awesome. 3 for 3.
Yeah.
I get to go first 3 times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so appreciate everybody hanging out with us, and of course, as always, like to give a shout out to everybody at the Mansion, DX Mansion, of course, everybody at Project Xbox, everybody at Roscoe's Video. I want to say what's up to everybody there. You can find me on Xbox Live. My gamer tag is Technofunk, TECHNOFUNGK. I'm known around here as the Shermanator, your friendly neighborhood, and just appreciate once again everybody who's tuning in, and look forward to the next show. Play Crackdown 3.
Yes,
All of you who, if you don't obviously, if you take nothing else away from today's show, ignore the haters. Have your own mind. Make up your own mind. Play the game for yourself. You will not be disappointed. And don't play the game for a half hour. Don't play the game for 15 minutes, half hour, and walk. No. Trust me. If you put the time in, and it doesn't even take that much time. If you stick with it for within the first hour, you will see what we've all said here tonight. You will thoroughly enjoy the game. It's worth it. It's way better than the so-called reviewers are giving it credit for. So play the game. We'll see you next time. Peace.
I don't think you could pick that game out and play it for half an hour. I think it's impossible to put it down. But there you go.
I agree.
Oh, dear.
And don't forget to shower.
Yeah, definitely shower. Oh, dear. Right, we'll go over to Hebot now, buddy. Give everybody, let everybody know where you are, where they can find you, where they can find your fantastic videos. Give yourself a shout out and say goodbye.
Well, Twitter, Facebook, obviously on the MicroPod of X podcast here with you guys, my family, and on Facebook, obviously, Project Xbox and the DX Mansion with my boy New Legal. And then also, I should be doing a new episode of We Got Next soon. Just been real busy with getting things preparated because we're going to celebrate my daughter's Sweet 16 on March 2nd. So, we're getting stuff together, and, it's a lot of, the process is long and tedious, and you know how it is. If you have kids, you know how it is. That's for sure.
That's a big deal in the Puerto Rican community, man. Girls, it's like huge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the third one, so I still got one left.
Wow.
So yeah, it's the third one. Nothing too big, too lavish, just something simple, warm, family, cozy. Some people I wish could make it like E-Rock, but he's always busy, so I'm not sure.
What about me and Chris?
Yeah, well, I would love for you guys. If I had the money to fly you down, I definitely would, for sure. All expense paid.
Hey, you'd need more money. You'd need more money for the booze.
I know. It'll be well worth it. It'll be well worth it.
It's a 16th birthday party. It's jelly and ice cream. What do you want to make? Booze.
Not for her.
Doesn't hurt, right? You can find my YouTube. You can find me on my YouTube channel. Obviously, Ebot, capital H and B, space in between the E and the B. Everything else lowercase. And then on Xbox Live, Ebot 8. PS Now, Alpha from Sky. And and we're trying to relaunch DirectX under a new name, which is Xbodians After Dark. I'm just waiting on we're waiting on Mr. 100 and some other people like Ghost and see what's going on to try to launch it again and see what happens.
Oh, cool.
Thanks again It's been an absolute pleasure.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. And over to you, Rock. Give yourself a shout out, mate. Tell everybody where you can be found when you're not here. Let everybody know where they can find your awesome videos as well.
Hey guys, when I'm not here, you can find me on the eRockX channel here on YouTube. Lots of commentary and predominantly gameplay videos. As I've always said, if your favorite YouTuber isn't putting up gameplay but constantly giving critiques about games, you're at the wrong channel possibly. So check that out and check me out on Twitter. It's eRockX at Twitter. And thanks for stopping by. It's always great to be here, guys. I always have a blast. I want to apologize for all the profanity tonight. Sometimes I get a little bit too passionate. I'll try to be more professional because I know Micro, he wants to run a clean show, but sometimes we get a little bit passionate about this gaming, especially when a good game comes through the mud. So, that's where that passion came from. But thanks for having me, guys. And as always, bye-bye.
Awesome job. And tonight, I've got to get this down. My very, very, very good friend, Andy Mack. If he's sober enough.
Hang on. Are you trying to sugarcoat me, Trilling? Is it right? I'm not paying your hotel. Just because you're the idiot who paid more money.
Yeah, we won't go into that one. And I didn't even get a shag at the end of it.
Well, that's Rock's issue, not yours. Well, we've got profanity and we've got late night antics. Well, I just want to say thanks everyone for joining in, especially in the chat. I would like to say this chat was lit, but I think that terminology just sounds stupid. It was lit, yo. No. And I want a huge shout out to Sherman's wife's working crew on the old Tannoy system. Whoop, whoop. Give yourself a round of applause for tuning in.
And sticking with it for this one.
Yeah. Maybe his wife might pay you.
You probably give them licorice all sorts or something just to keep them quiet. Just listen to this.
Yeah, and just a message to everybody on the way out: play your games. Let's rock out. No, I won't say that.
Oh my God.
Let's play our games and let's get gaming back to what it once was.
That would be nice to get back to.
The thumbnail for this show will be Damage Control Podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's face it, we have spoken a lot about Crackdown 3 tonight, so we have sort of given a lot of this show over to Damage Control this evening.
We'll have to we'll have to change the name to DT.
Yeah. I think
DT
podcast. Right. No.
I mean, can you imagine that entire podcast of 5 dudes going on about something that they enjoy and they love? Wow, amazing!
It's a nerve. That's what it is.
Right.
The nerve of us!
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare us?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a doggone shame.
Sherman, your wife doesn't work in a family hospital, does she?
Oh my God.
No.
Oh, that's right.
I dropped. I'm so glad, man, because I dropped more F-bombs tonight than R. Kelly's lawyers.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that's pretty screwed.
Oh man, there you go.
I've been waiting all night to put that in.
Oh wow!
Dear me. Well, it's
Jesus.
It's probably true.
Oh wow.
Jesus.
But
No mercy.
That's what she said. And that's why he's in the mess.
Exactly.
Oh man.
But it's true. It's true. Yeah, that's the end of another podcast. I mean, you can obviously find me here on the channel and on Twitter, Microbox of X, and make sure you check out the Project Xbox groups group Project Xbox group on Facebook and the DX-Men and the DX Mansion. And you know, we've spent the last 2.5, 3 hours talking Xbox. But the top 10 topics of PS4 fans this week has been Crackdown 3 campaign, Crackdown 3 Wrecking Zone, Xbox One X, Phil Spencer, Ibarra, Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Elite Controller, the Xbox Adaptive Controller, Xbox First Party Games, and then seeing Xbox fans having fun and don't understand why. And that's the top 10 topics for PlayStation this week. That's what they all talk about. That's what everyone is listening to, talking about. That's what the podcasts are on about. They spend more time talking about Xbox than they do actually playing on their fucking consoles.
It's unbelievable.
You know what? Wait, you know what? That reminds me of something. Earlier in the midway through the week, I saw someone. I forget exactly where it was, but someone put a question out as to, well, why hasn't Microsoft been running any Crackdown 3 commercials? And then someone put out a response and said, well, why should they? Why should they spend money doing it when all the PlayStation guys have been giving free advertising for it themselves?
Yeah, exactly.
And let's throw something else in on that. Let's throw something else in on that, right? Marketing. If marketing works the way they think it does, why hasn't their game sold 90 million copies?
Exactly.
Because the point is that people have preference when it comes to games. You know, you're not going to put loads of money into something and not get a return back, because that is just bad business. And people don't know the ins and outs of business, and it really shows that they're quite literally full of themselves. They don't know anything because they're still living in the 90s on a marketing program, whatever. To realize it's like 2019. Everybody hates adverts about car insurance. They're not going to go, oh my god, car insurance, Crackdown 3. Oh, look, another car insurance ad. TPI.
As gamers, I think gamers are a little bit more switched on these days, and we don't need to be told that these games are coming. We know they're fucking coming even before they even started being made.
Yeah, gaming has become so big that the marketing is not like it was. It was needed before because it wasn't a very known thing.
Oh no.
Yeah, now
it's just too big.
Yeah, you don't need to waste money on marketing. Put the money in the development. Give the money to the teams making the games. You don't need to advertise the games.
Well, really quick, Micro, we could talk about it next week if you want. But Sony came out and they said that the profits that they were trying to make, that they made, actually wasn't the red because they spend more money marketing than what they actually made in profits.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. You know?
No, it is a thing, and
it's interesting.
We definitely need to talk about it more. I think that'll be a subject for us next week, definitely. But that's it. You know, on a week that we found out that Age of Empires Definitive Edition is coming to Xbox One.
Nice.
And the Lost Planets all dropped on the back compat in this week.
And Code Veronica.
And Code Veronica, yes. Sorry, I nearly forgot that one. It's been a good week for Xbox. It's been a good year for Xbox. So and that will continue. We've got a lot to talk about next week. I want to talk about the Nintendo Xbox relationship that seems to be growing. We wanted to talk about that tonight, but we ran out of time. But we will be talking about that next week. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching the MicroPod. We all appreciate the fact that you watch and support us, and the chat's been on fire tonight, and we really do appreciate it. Take care, and we'll see you next week. Ta-da.
Go smoke some Crackdown.
Hey
guys.
All right, peace.
Oh boy.